Elliot Anderson there. You're listening to the Europa League live on Talksport 2 with Enterprise Rent-A-Car, whatever it is, they're here for it. Those Manchester United links have resurfaced again this week. Sangaré's been linked with Manchester United as well. But on Elliot Anderson, England's Elliot Anderson, Leanne, where do you see his future going forward ultimately when it comes to the summer? I mean, a lot of it, of course, will depend on whether Nottingham Forest stay up in the Premier League or not. But even if they do stay up, it's going to be hard to resist the temptations of Old Trafford.
Yeah, I think so. And I love the fact that you're linking all the players, Joe, to Man United. It's music to my ears. I think Sangaré is also a really good player. And I think they complement each other in the midfield as well this season, for sure. I think a player like Elliot Anderson, he's got his feet on the ground. You know, he's asked a lot in his press conferences and interviews about being linked away. He's very gracious in thanking the Forest fans and the Forest for giving him the opportunity, really, because at Newcastle, he never really got given that. And I think, you know, it's not a matter of this time last year, people were probably thinking, is he going to be on the plane? Not only is I think he's going to be on the plane, he'll be starting for England. You know, almost in that Calvin Phillips role that England like to play. So I think he's been brilliant for them. Obviously, he's a top player, and unfortunately, I've said it many times, when you are a club like Forest or a Brighton or a Brentford, you know, you're always Palace as well, you know, you lose players over the years when they are so good. And I don't think it's based upon if they stay up or not, Joe. I do think it's inevitable a player like Elliot Anderson will move on.
Well, Vitor Pereira is already in the dugout here, right in line with our commentary position. We're high at the back of the main stand, the Peter Taylor stand at Nottingham Forest. So many memories of European history from years gone by, signposted around this ground. In fact, really everywhere you look, there are memories of the great European Cup winning sides of 1979 and 1980 under the great Brian Clough. And as I say, we're sat just to the left of the halfway line, very close to the players' tunnel, about 20, 30 rows of seats from the edge of the pitch. These are intimate surroundings at the City Ground. I can see Domenico Tedesco, the Fenerbahçe boss, has taken his seat in the opposition technical area. Do you give Fenerbahçe any hope tonight? If Forest manage this tie, Leanne, they should be going through.
Yeah, I mean, I fancy Fenerbahçe maybe to grab a goal, you know, but I also think that Forest just have too much. I think they'll have a professional performance. You know, if they get the early goal, it's massive. And just to pick up on something you said there, Joe, about, you know, Nottingham Forest in Europe, and European football has been massively history for this club, and I love coming here. You know, when you go to certain grounds, and I think on a match day like tonight, it's really cool and classy that they have, like, whatever team they're playing against, the food they have in the press room, Joe, is related to the team they're going up against. And I think that's so important. Like, that Hungarian food against Ferencváros, they've got Turkish food tonight. I'm not complaining.
No, it was very nice.
It's a nice touch, you know, it's something so simple, but very, very classy.
And there's been a very warm welcome for the visiting media from Turkey here, as the two teams have emerged from the tunnel at the City Ground, and they're about to line up either side of the halfway line, and we'll hear the UEFA Europa League anthem ring around the City Ground, with the rain falling from the dark skies up ahead, and a huge tifo has been unfurled at the Trent end, the two-tiered Trent end away to our left-hand side in red and white. It says, "This is Nottingham, we are the Reds." It's a night for Nottingham Forest to forget about the Premier League and focus on European competition, because, Leanne Sanderson, they are right up there with the contenders to go all the way and win this.
They are, and I think the fans genuinely believe that. And a club that's so engulfed in a lot of history in Europe, they'll know what that feels like, the good old days under unbelievable coaches, managers like Brian Clough. So I think, you know, a club like Forest, under Nuno Espirito Santo last year, exceeded expectations. And obviously they've had loads of coaches this year. We don't need to keep going on about the amount of turnover they've had. But I will say, you know, this club deserves great things, and I think ultimately staying in the Premier League is the number one goal, but I think they can be on a good run. But I don't come from this place, Joe, that I feel like, you know, English sides have a divine right to win the Europa League. I think, like, it's a really difficult competition to win, and there's some really strong opposition in there.
Well, Crystal Palace are in Conference League action tonight against Zrinjski Mostar. The whole game is live from Selhurst Park over on Talksport. Tomorrow night we'll bring you Wolves against Aston Villa on Talksport at 8, at the same time on 2. Big game in the Championship, Bristol City against Watford. Two sides still hopeful of a playoff charge. Saturday, game day is back. Bournemouth against Sunderland, Portsmouth against Hull, and Championship leaders Coventry against Stoke City. And next weekend, it's the 5th round of the FA Cup. Every game live across the Talksport network. And of course, the best way to be across all the action is to download our free app. The two captains are shaking hands in the centre circle, Yuksek and Yates. The two club pennants have been exchanged, which I always think is a great feature of European competition. And now both sets of players will have their photos taken either side of the halfway line. The Forest squad massed together. And now Mull of Kintyre rings around the city ground. Up go the red and white scarves. And in come the Nottingham Forest supporters. Always quite the sight and sound, this. It's a rainy night on the banks of the Trent here this evening. The first thing that Fenerbahçe have done actually is turn the teams around. So Forest will attack the Trent end in the first half from right to left in the red shirts, the Garibaldi red shirts, white shorts and red socks, and in bright yellow with a dark blue trim, it looks like. Fenerbahçe will play from left to right towards the Bridgeford end in the first half, which is split between home and away supporters. A big night of European football across the Talksport network, and here on Talksport 2, Forest are firmly in control, 3-0 up on aggregate as the second leg begins. They go back to goalkeeper Ortega, who hammers the ball long, looking for Luka straight away, headed away in the middle of midfield by Ismail Yuksek for Fenerbahçe. Now on the right-hand side, Nico Williams picks up possession. So Ortega is the Forest goalkeeper. Williams on the ball now. Jay Cunha finding Morato, and Murillo in the back four. Almost looks like a firecrackers going off in the Fenerbahçe end. At the moment, all sorts is happening away to the right-hand side. And indeed, a flare has been thrown onto the field, so the referee might have to stop the game. Boos from the home support. There's a flare right behind Jay Cunha, and he's had to stop the match here, the referee Maurizio Mariani of Italy. And more flares are being thrown onto the field now, all of them from the away end. There are 5 or 6 that have been hurled onto the pitch. Well, they certainly brought some joy and some colour before the game with the yellow and blue ponchos that they've been wearing, the Fenerbahçe fans, but this is not good at all. Flares from the moment the game kicked off, effectively hurled onto the field of play. How they managed to get them in, I don't know. And all we can see in the away section at the moment is acrid smoke wafting onto the field of play and throughout the Bridgeford end, and they're being closely monitored at the moment by police and stewards as the game is stopped. And still, as it's continuing here, there are still flares being let off in that away section, almost look like firecrackers, little crackles of bright light. 5 or 6 were thrown onto the pitch, and the game is delayed here, Leanne Sanderson.
Yeah, it's just not good, Joe, to be honest. I think, it's great to see the amount of support that's come out here, but to be throwing stuff like that on the pitch is so dangerous, and they're throwing it at the stewards now. It's just not okay, really.
It's appalling.
It's so bad. It is really bad. Like, I'm all for supporting your team, but not in that way, and it's just dangerous. And you're right, like, how on earth do they get these in? Where there's a will, there's a way. I mean, you can't even bring a bottle into the stadium without a lid on it, Joe, let alone being able to bring firecrackers and fireworks into the stadium. And I really feel for the staff, because they're out there, trying to put out the flames and that. And, I don't want to be a killjoy, because I'm all for atmosphere and all that.
No,
but that's
but this
not good.
is completely different.
Yeah, that's not good.
There are still 2 flares very close to the dead ball line on the far side. This has happened all in front of the Fenerbahçe section of the ground. It's the away supporters who've thrown the flares onto the field, and the referee, with a couple of them yet to be extinguished, though they're not on the pitch itself, wants the game restarted. Williams, Cunha, Morato and Murillo in the back four for Forest. Dominguez, Yates and Anderson in midfield. Hutchinson, McAtee and Luka are up front. It's Nottingham Forest 0, Fenerbahçe 0 on Talksport 2 with 2.5 minutes. Well, I say played, most of that has been the game stopped, as the ball is worked wide to the right-hand side on the far side of the field by Dominguez to find Williams in the right-back position. Fenerbahçe have Chetin in goal, Muldaur, Guendouzi, Demir and Brown, Aydin, Yuksek and Conte, Nene, Aktürkoğlu and Sherif. in the front three. It's Forest 0-0 on the night and 3-0 up on aggregate as the rain continues to pour and the last of the flares is taken away from the right-hand side of the field behind that Fenerbahçe end, and I think it's now been put out, and hopefully that is the end of all that. Forest on the attack, McAtee jinking down the right-hand side, and Nottingham Forest get a throw level with the edge of the penalty area. Here's Leanne Sanderson.
I'll tell you what, Joe, from a player's perspective, I think that will do the opposite of what Fenerbahçe are expecting. I don't think that's going to intimidate the Forest. I mean, the Forest fans have got up and even 2 or 3 notches since that happened. So I think if I was a Forest player, it'd make me more encouraged to want to beat this side even more. Not that you need an incentive.
Dominguez with an impudent little flick that is straight out of play. Vitor Pereira is standing right in front of us on the edge of his technical area, the long dark jacket on and his arms are folded on the near side, standing in the rain all alone. We're just to the left of the halfway line here on Talksport 2 as Anderson retrieves possession with his customary authority on the halfway line. Williams looks to wriggle away on the far side, the right, in front of the Brian Clough stand. 2-tiered on the far side of the field, and it's out of play again for a Fenerbahçe throw. It'll be left to Archie Brown, who started his career in the youth team at Derby County. Whisper it quietly in these parts. Brown goes down in the left back position. No foul given by the referee, and Forest have it back, leading 3-0 on aggregate. And there's no real pressure on Forest here at all.
No, and I think there's not been much momentum because of that stoppage, but I'm intrigued to see, Forest is setting up in a 4-2-3-1, going up against a 4-3-3, similarly to last week, and I think Forest last week just had that extra bit of quality in and around the midfield area.
Header away by Demir, and N'Golo Conte darting into the middle of the Fenerbahçe half to win the ball back. A recent signing at Fenerbahçe, the former Leicester and Chelsea man, a Premier League title winner with Leicester City 10 years ago. It feels like a lot has happened in the intervening years, but it's always a pleasure to watch N'Golo Conte play football.
And I think he's probably one of the only players in the world that everybody absolutely loves. It doesn't matter what team you support, doesn't matter where, I just feel like he's one of those players that you just can't not love him.
He's a global fan favourite, isn't he? N'Golo Conte, and you might remember Matteo Guendouzi in possession now with the long curly hair midway inside his own half the field, the former Arsenal player. Angled ball up to the halfway line, the flick by Dorgeles Nene gets it back from Oguj Aydin right in front of the Fenerbahçe technical area, wins a free kick after that foul by Ryan Yates, who's dislocated his little finger, and that looks very painful. You could see it straight away bent to one side, and some in the commentary box don't want to look at that. We've got monitors high up in the commentary position here. It's not a pretty sight, and on come the Nottingham Forest physios to sort things out. 0-0, 6.5 played, and Forest are 3-0 up on aggregate. Yeah,
that was a great spot from you, Joe, because hopefully, the trainers and the physios are on there right now. Yeah. But a lot of stop-start in this game, 6.5 minutes into it. The game hasn't really been able to have much momentum based upon, that stoppage, also the weather. And it's interesting because when you mentioned Guendouzi before, when he was at Arsenal, played in the midfield, when he was at Marseille, but I think one of his biggest problems is that he always used to get involved in things at Arsenal and when he was at Marseille that he didn't need to. There's always been a player in there, but I think he often gets involved, gets sent off, and sometimes if you take that away from a player, you take away a lot of their game. But at the same time, I think, this Fenerbahçe side, they've got some really good players in their squad, unbelievable, like Asensio.
And we talk about, he's on the bench tonight, and we talk about the chaos at Nottingham Forest. There's been relative chaos for Fenerbahçe in terms of head coaches this season. Indeed, Domenico Tedesco, who is standing on the touchline now, was brought in to replace one Jose Mourinho, who left early on in the campaign. Fenerbahçe all in bright yellow from left to right in the first half. They lose the ball. Morato wearing gloves. It's not that cold, is it? Plays it back to goalkeeper Ortega, who hacks the ball upfield, and now Yates has come back on for Nottingham Forest. It really is very mild, is it not?
It's mild when I haven't got my gloves on, Joe, because I'm the biggest baby when it comes to the cold. So the fact that I haven't got mine on just about sums it up.
Well, there is a member of our team tonight who'll remain nameless, who's brought a heater to the ground. And what is it, 10, 11 degrees? Can't be that bad, surely. The ball is midway inside Fenerbahçe territory, and Nottingham Forest have got given away a free kick. He says it's not on, the heater's not on.
Listen, I'm not complaining because he's next to me, so in the second half I'm hoping it does go on.
Here is Nene over the halfway line and driving infield from the right for Fenerbahçe. Skip beyond Yates, not beyond a combination really of Anderson and Dominguez. Forest flood the red shirts forward. Hutchinson down the left with an early ball in. Luca at the back post couldn't reach it. The giant Italian frontman keeps it in play on the far side of the field. McAtee back to Williams, and now Dominguez out to the right again. McAtee, who we've not seen a lot of in a Forest shirt since he joined the club in the summer. I thought he was excellent for England's under-21s in the Euros, as Forest go all the way back to the halfway line, Leah.
He's done quite well in this competition, though. They seem to be playing him a lot more in Europe, and I think there's times when he played on the left, there's times when he played on in the 10, and I think when Morgan Gibbs-White is also on, they kind of have a really good connection and telepathy between each other.
Here is Conte on the halfway line, long sleeve shirt on, gets it back square from Yüksek, and now the ball is popped back to Guendouzi. Rolls a pass forward 10 yards to Yüksek, who looks out to the far side of the field. Archie Brown with an early ball over the top. Cunha heads it away. Just his 4th appearance for Nottingham Forest tonight, Jaya Cunha, and a 3rd start for the club. Cunha, tall and slender, the centre half, blue boots on, scoops the ball long and high upfield. Conte goes in to win it back in the middle of midfield for Fenerbahçe, who must score at least 3 goals tonight without reply to even take this tie into extra time.
And then fair play to Yates as well, because he came off the pitch. Yeah. They looked like they fixed his finger. He didn't even bat an eye. He just ran straight back on, got it strapped up. So fair play. But I think, you know, the way Fenerbahçe are popping the ball around down that left-hand side, they're getting an overload there. I think Forest are doing a really good job at closing Fenerbahçe down, because the way this game has started, Joe, I know it's been a bit stop-start, but it doesn't look like a 3-0 game, does it? From the first leg. It's like both teams not complacent. You know, obviously Fenerbahçe need to take it to Forest, but I think Forest are really approaching this game really professionally, and I think even the fact that Anderson's starting, I mean, Yates starts in his competition, but it's not a full strength side, but I'm looking forward to seeing Luca play. You know, I think he's 6'7", he almost looks like Benjamin Sesko out there.
And he is a man who's found form of late for Manchester United. Much to Leanne's delight, no doubt.
Absolutely. Say that again, Joe.
He's found form again. That's all you're getting from me now. Forward and long by the goalkeeper Chetin, wearing number 13 for Fenerbahçe. Forest win it back. Luca with his back to goal. Guendouzi standing off him. Luca looks for McAtee into the penalty area now after a weaving run, but he overhits the pass down the middle. Luca can't get onto the end of it. It's through to the goalkeeper. We've had 11 minutes on Talksport 2, Nottingham Forest 0, Fenerbahçe 0, and Nottingham Forest 3-0 up on aggregate, and heading into the round of 16 where they'll face Real Betis or Midtjylland, who, as we said earlier, they played and got a mixed set of results against in the league phase. You might remember the defeat to Midtjylland here in the penultimate game of the Ange Postecoglou reign. Chetin clears upfield for Fenerbahçe. Brown, the giant left back, can't bring it under control. He's lost out to Dominguez in the middle of midfield. Forest have it with Williams, and no sign of any complacency from Forest so far. In fact, they probably look the more likely to score. McAtee square. Anderson about 2 yards from the edge of the D, works it wide left to Hutchinson on the near side of the field. The former Ipswich man twisting and turning and finding Anderson, who was surely offside. Play continues. Anderson skips into the area right by the dead ball line. The cross is cleared away by Mert Muldur at the back post. I'm not sure how the flag stayed down, but that cross was rolled almost along the goal line before it was hacked away to safety. Yeah, I mean, it looked like it was offside to me, but the assistant referee didn't put the flag up. It was a really good run from Elliot Anderson, and he's hanging out on this left-hand side. Murillo is also staying quite high, almost in the back three at this moment in time, and Anderson just hogging this touchline out on the left-hand side. Good noise from the Forest fans in the driving rain tonight. Still goalless at Selhurst Park, still level on aggregate over on Talksport. Crystal Palace 0, Zrinjski Mostar 0. Just over halfway for Crystal Palace is Anderson. Again, those links with Manchester United. Knocks the ball out wide to the far side. McAtee running at the defender. He looks lively, weaving footwork into the box. Left-footed high cross. Luca with the downward header, gathered by the goalkeeper. No power behind it. Clash of heads inside the 18-yard box. And the referee's going to have to stop the game here and potentially get the physios on. I mean, the ref looked like he actually gave this as a foul, which I don't think that's a foul. Luca just got to the ball, you know, it was both of them were battling for the ball, but I don't know how the referee signalled for a free kick in that moment. It was really good play from James McAtee as well, down the right-hand side. He's looked lively in the first 13 minutes. It's Dorgelis Nene, the winger, and Luka who collided, and they're both back on their feet and the game resumes. It is being brought to you, this game, in partnership with TNT Sports, the home of European football. A rare appearance for Çetin, the number 13 tonight, his European competition debut, the Fenerbahçe goalkeeper, as he hammers the ball downfield, flicked forward by Oguj Aydin, but it's won back by Murillo in the left back position for Nottingham Forest. They have a throw on the near side of the field, and there's quite the verbal jousting, shall I say, going on between the Forest fans and the Fenerbahçe support at the Bridgeford end away to the right at the moment. Thankfully they haven't let off any more flares, the away supporters. That was not good to see. There's quite a heavy presence of stewards and police nearby at the moment. Ryan Yates will have a free kick for Nottingham Forest here, midway inside their own half of the field. Morato, the number 4, will take it. Good opportunity for Vitor Pereira to look at some of the fringe players tonight, Morato being one of them. Hutchinson in the left wing position now, scampering forward, twisting into the penalty area, fizzing in the cross, and Luka, had he got a touch on it, surely would have made it 1-0.
Yeah, lovely play from Omari Hutchinson down this left-hand side. They can't handle him, and I was talking about the formation a few moments ago, and I think they're creating that overload centrally. I think Anderson's causing all sorts of problems because he's going in deep, then he's coming out to the left-hand side. Hutchinson's put a couple of balls in nice and early, zipped it in there. Keeper had no chance. They just need to anticipate it a little bit more. You can see McAtee on that back post there on the right-hand side. But under these types of conditions, Joe, when it's raining like this, that's where they have to gamble a little bit more, in those areas.
Well, a Forest goal ends the game as a contest as Murillo floats a high pass forward, and it's gathered by the goalkeeper Çetin. 3-0 up on aggregate, Nottingham Forest, a quarter of an hour played, and no signs at the moment whatsoever that Fenerbahçe can somehow perform a miracle, as their coach Tedesco was talking about. Luka, 25 yards from goal, pokes the ball backwards, a poor ball intercepted by the number 9 actor Koglu with the orange boots on over the halfway line. He's jinked away from Nico Williams, then reverse ball up towards the centre of the field, headed away by Yates, tracking back and sitting in between the two centre halves there for Nottingham Forest. The rain is relentless at the moment, very heavy overhead. Guendouzi, mud on the back of his yellow shirt, with a good ball out to the right. Now Dorgelis Nene, Aydin on the overlap. Aydin with a first time pull back into the penalty area. Actor Koglu struck it. It hit Morato and trickles out to play for a Fenerbahçe corner.
Guendouzi played a really good ball there because Nene was hugging this touchline, the near side here on the right, and then they created that overload and put a really good ball in. I mean, Actor Koglu is a very good player. We know that he can score goals and get into those areas, especially in there. So this will give a lot of hope to these Fenerbahçe fans. Not that they need that, because they haven't stopped from minute 1.
Actor Koglu is standing over this corner. Forest have brought everybody in the red shirts back to defend it. Plenty forward in yellow, hoisted into the near post, headed away. Sharif with his back to goal couldn't get a telling touch on it, the front man, and Forest clear upfield through Dominguez, and the ball eventually rolls out to play to the relative safety of the Nottingham Forest dugout, and Nene will take the throw for Fenerbahçe. He'll go all the way back to Guendouzi, who will play it all the way back to the goalkeeper. I mean, that's where there is some jeopardy in the game. If Fenerbahçe can get a goal, particularly Leanne, before half-time.
Yeah, I mean, I think this game right now, you're looking at Anderson now pressing the goalkeeper in that moment, pressing Çetin, and I think they're doing a really good job, Nottingham Forest, because in reality, Joe, they're 3-0 up. But it doesn't look like that. This looks like the way they performed in the first leg, doesn't it? Like, with regards to the intensity of the game. You know, I know this thing's been taken out a couple of times with a bit stop-start, but I think, you know, Forest have had a really professional start in this game. On the front foot, Anderson's popping it around, Omari Hutchinson's putting the ball in the box, Luka's looking active. I think a couple of times when Luka's actually picked up the ball, he has more time than he thinks. He's been a bit negative going backwards a lot. I think he can play the ball a little bit more forward when McAtee's out on that right-hand side. But overall, I think Forest have started the game really well.
Well, Nene has gone down and is being treated now by the two Fenerbahçe physios. And on what is a busy night of European football here on the Talksport network, still goalless at Selhurst Park and 1-1 on aggregate between Crystal Palace and Zrinjski Mostar. Tomorrow we turn our focus back to domestic action in the Premier League. Wolves against Aston Villa on Talksport. Here on 2, Bristol City against Watford from the Championship live and exclusive. Then on Saturday, Bournemouth against Sunderland, Portsmouth against Hull, and Coventry against Stoke, all live across Talksport and Talksport 2, where we have another big game for you in the Monday night football. Middlesbrough very much on the automatic promotion charge, go to playoff chasing Birmingham. That's on Talksport 2 on Monday night. The game restarts, header away by Morato. Nene didn't need to leave the field after being treated, either that or he's immediately come back on, and he's wrestling with Hutchinson for the ball on the halfway line, committing a foul, and he's gone down again, Nene. So we'll have another stoppage in play here, and a free kick to Forest on the halfway line.
That was a miraculous recovery, and that's being very kind. I mean, Nene's gone off the pitch, went down, holding his hamstring, comes straight back on. Hutchinson does really well here to pick up the ball. I mean, Nene's gone down. He does flick him in the eye, but it's not enough to go down. There's no intention there from Hutchinson in that moment, and he's just gone down. I mean, that's embarrassing, to be honest.
It's pathetic, isn't it?
It is.
The way he's thrown himself to ground there.
If that's my teammate, I'm having to have a word and be like, mate, come on, come on.
Forest look completely unbothered by the whole thing, which tells you all you need to know. They're in cruise control at the moment, 0-0 on the night, 3-0 up on aggregate, heading for the round of 16. Nottingham Forest, who when they were in the oldest iteration of the Europa League, the UEFA Cup, last reached the quarter-finals in 95-96. I wonder what a good result in the Europa League would be for Forest this season if they were not to win it. Do they need to go all the way to the final to feel like they've fulfilled their potential in the competition?
I mean, you're looking at a team, we talk about Crystal Palace, obviously they're playing tonight as well, but you're looking at a team like Forest, under Nuno Espirito Santo, they were in a really good run, wasn't they? They were even pushing for Champions League.
Yeah.
And then it's crazy to even think what can happen in the space of, 8-9 months, where this team are fighting to stay in the Premier League, 2 points above West Ham at this moment in time. But I do think on their day, there was a transfer window a couple of windows ago, Joe, where they brought in 22 players.
Yes.
And these things take a while to come into fruition. But I think a manager like Vitor Pereira, in his style of football, I think over time, the Forest fans will start to enjoy a little bit more. Sean Dyche seemed like he was only here to keep them in the Premier League, so I'm not quite sure why they got rid of him when they did. But obviously Marinakis felt like it was necessary to make that change, and on one hand you have to say it's quite admirable that he doesn't hang about, but on the other hand, for the players it's hard to know if they're coming or going.
But he's here tonight, the Forest owner, about 10 rows in front of us, with his customary huge television screen only about a yard or so in front of where he's sitting. Doesn't really need to watch the game on the field as it's taking place. Hutchinson darting down the left, beyond the defender, into the area, cuts it back when intercepted by Guendouzi, who stabs the ball upfield towards the halfway line. They look a threat, but now Fenerbahçe counter, and an opportunity for Sharif down the right-hand side, 2 against 2. Sharif plays it in low, Aktürkoğlu must score, and he does score! And Fenerbahçe are back in the tie! Nottingham Forest caught out on the counter-attack. There are lots of Fenerbahçe supporters waving their arms up into the air behind the goal, but maybe there is hope in the tie for the Turkish club. Fenerbahçe have scored. 1-0 they lead on the night. They trail 3-1 on aggregate.
And I spoke about Aktürkoğlu being their main player to score goals. When Sharif picked up the ball on the right-hand side, Joe, I actually thought, when's he going to play this? He almost looked like he gave an opportunity for Forest to get back on side, and in the end he made a really good decision. I mean, he plays it quite late for me. He breaks down the right-hand side. Brillo does a relatively decent job along with Morata trying to delayed it enough, tried to get back on side. Williams tried to do a good job of getting back on side, couldn't quite catch it, takes a slight deflection off of Williams in that moment. He goes with the wrong foot for me, and Aktürkoğlu, great composure, puts it in the back of the net, and they've thrown flames back on the pitch, Joe.
There is a single flare that's made its way onto the field, thrown from the Fenerbahçe end. Again, disappointing to see. Puts a dampener on all the celebrations and the vocal support that they've shown their team as Stewart has come across to move that out of the way. But there is now jeopardy in the tie. Forest lead 3-1 on aggregate. Down the middle is Dominguez for them. We're nearly halfway through the first half on Talksport 2. Williams with the cross, sent skywards by Guendouzi, and that'll fly out to play for a corner to the team in red at the Trent end away to our left.
And I spoke pre-game about the fact that the first goal, the first 15-20 minutes, we'll be able to tell how this tie is going to go. I mean, it's been really intense. You wouldn't really tell that Forest were already 3-0 up. Now, what Forest need to do is to remain calm, because obviously in games like this, it's 3-1 at this moment in time. They're still in control, but the momentum could swing, Joe, based upon them getting that goal.
1-0 down on the night, Nottingham Forest, 3-1 up on aggregate. Plenty forward inside the 6-yard box here. James McAtee with the corner, left-footed and in-swinging header away, thumping header away by N'Golo Conte. Remember, this is an understrength Fenerbahçe team. McAtee back on the Forest right, yet to score at home under Vitor Pereira, though they were unfortunate to lose to Liverpool in the Premier League at the weekend. Morata with a good angled ball out to the left, and Hutchinson waits for the underlapping run of Anderson, who skips beyond the defender and shoots right across the face of goal. That might have kissed the post on its way behind from Elliot Anderson. Nearly an impossible angle, but almost possible for the man who is in great form this season for Nottingham Forest, and it was only half a yard or so away from bringing them level on the night. Yeah,
lovely little give and go with Hutchinson. I mean, he pings this so well, and it does skim the post, but I will say a few players on the Forest team were really disappointed he didn't square it. But I think when you've got a ping on you like Anderson, as you can understand, I mean, he's been everywhere in this opening 25 minutes, and I like the fact that he's not just staying central, he's coming out to this left-hand side, and I think that's what's causing Fenerbahçe a lot of problems, because he's not being rigid in his movement. He's being, Hutchinson's going inside, he's overlapping him, they've had a lot of joy down his left-hand side, Forest.
The tie is not over just yet. Talksport 2, 1-0 to Fenerbahçe. They have a goal back on aggregate, but they still need to score at least 2 more. Aydin over the halfway line, out to the left, and the former Derby man Archie Brown. Far side of the field, taking on the number 3 of Nottingham Forest, Nico Williams. Plays it back to Aydin, and now Yüksek to Mert Muldur, who we've seen play at international tournaments for Turkey in the past. Conte, right on the lip of the centre circle, turning away from Anderson. There's a nervousness in the Forest crowd, I think, at the moment. Brown out on the left-hand side, driving in field and playing it square to Aydin. A bobbled ball back to Muldur, who threads it infield to Akta Koglu, the goal scorer. His control wasn't great, but Fenerbahçe win it back in the middle of midfield anyway. Very different feel about this tie, Leanne. Yeah, they've certainly gained a little bit more confidence, more momentum since scoring that goal. But what Forest need to do right now is get hold of the ball, get their confidence back. And I think there's a silver lining here as well, Joe. The fact they've got Gibbs White on the bench, Sangare on the bench, they've got ammunition off the bench that can make things happen as well. Here they come raiding down the left-hand side. Nico Williams slides in, firm but fair on Mert Muldur, who then wins it back close to the corner flag. Little back heel towards Brown. It's cleared away by a combination of Williams and Yates. Good work by Nottingham Forest in the right full-back area. Jaya Cunha hammers the ball upfield high into the dark evening sky. Fouled by Luca on Guendouzi. Vitor Pereira turns away in frustration. What's the Italian referee Mariani going to do here? Is it just a word with Luca, who towers over everybody on the field? I think it is just a talking to. I mean, he has every right to go for this, Luca. I mean, I don't think there's anything in that, Joe, if I'm being perfectly honest. But I think what Forest need to do right now is put their foot on the ball. They did well to play out of pressure in that full-back, right-back position. But right now, since Fenerbahçe scored, they're high pressing. Forest can't really get the ball. And I think that's what they need to do. Get the ball, possess, and alleviate a little bit of pressure, because right now Fenerbahçe have the confidence, the momentum, that you wouldn't put it past them scoring again the way things are going. We've got the Fenerbahçe media team just in front of us, and they leapt up in celebration, all of them. And they realised where they were. Scored. Yeah, right in the middle of the Forest press box. It was all done in good nature. I've been there before, Joe. Don't worry about that. I've been there before. Forward by Forest to Dominguez, and now out on the right is James McAtee. 1-0 down on the night, 3-1 they lead on aggregate. McAtee trying to reverse ball down the inside left. Who's there to cut it out? N'Golo Conte. Always there to make the interceptions, Conte. At his peak was absolutely the best in the world at doing that, but he has given away a free kick for a foul on Dominguez, I think, midway inside the Fenerbahçe half. We've had nearly 28 minutes, and Fenerbahçe will be by far the happier of the two teams. They will be, and I think N'Golo Conte, one of the greatest, he's got many attributes to his game, but his ability to be in the right place at the right time is not luck. The positional awareness, always in the right place for the ball to just be able to hit him, because he's so smart in those moments and just breaking things down. It's a really good position for Forest to put one in the box here, Joe, from this right-hand side, whip it in and around the penalty spot. They've got Luca in there, who's an absolute giant.
that maybe could get his head on it, head it back across goal because he's hanging out on this left-hand side.
Hutchinson and Anderson are the two standing over it, midway inside the Fenerbahçe half, about 15 yards infield, whipped in by Anderson, good delivery, headed away by Demir, and that'll go behind for a Nottingham Forest corner on the near side in front of the Trent end.
Really good ball, really good defending from Demir, because those ones are really difficult when the defender's, backtracking towards his own goal. Good defending.
And a bit of intrigue about the game in the tie now. Maybe not the cruise that Nottingham Forest certainly enjoyed in the early exchanges and certainly enjoyed in the first leg in Turkey last week. Hutchinson standing over this corner. It'll be left-footed and out-swinging. Plenty forward in the red. Hutchinson takes it short. Anderson corner the penalty area. Back to Hutchinson. Back to Anderson. Works the angle to try a cross shot. It's come off the back of Conte. Murillo with a heavy back pass. Bouncing up in front of the blue-clad goalkeeper Ortega. Ortega hammers the ball high downfield into the rain, flicked on by Dominguez, hooked on by Hutchinson, Luca into the area, Yuksek came across, goalkeeper Chetin, did he prevent it going out of play? No, he didn't. It's another Forest corner. Forest 0, Fenerbahçe 1 in the Europa League, live on Talksport 2 with Enterprise Rent-A-Car. Whatever it is, they're here for it. Nene went down again there. He seems quite quick to go to ground in this game.
Yeah. Fenerbahçe keep also appealing for offside. It wasn't offside in that moment. Luca does really well.
Corner taken short. Anderson left corner of the area with a shot, and it's blocked. It'll drop towards Guendouzi, who hoists the ball high and away from danger. Bouncing ball for Murillo to deal with. Doesn't look convincing. An actor Koglu nearly got in front of him. Murillo poking it back to goalkeeper Ortega, who smashes the ball upfield once again. Header away by Demir. Talksport 2 with half an hour play. Forest 0, Fenerbahçe 1. Forest retain an aggregate lead, though it has been reduced to 3-1. Conte, midway inside his own half, square to Yuksek, does well under pressure from 2 to get it back to Yuksek. Then Conte loses the ball and Yuksek is fouled by Dominguez.
I'm looking at the goalkeeper as well, Chetin. He's appealing for a foul. I mean, Luca does go in on him a little bit late, but it wasn't enough for him to go down. I mean, they're also 3-1 down on aggregate, so it's like, mate, stop wasting time in these certain moments. Do you know what I mean? They need to get back in the game. I think, I've seen Forest now have 2 corners from this left-hand side, Joe. Yep. And they've tried to be overcomplicated for me. I understand they've got their set pieces and what they're trying to do, but Anderson and Hutchinson, I think it's too predictable. Both times, the second time was a bit better, it didn't get cut out, but they're passing. Sometimes you've got to put the ball into the box. I'm not saying boring football, but you've got a player in there, Luca, that is so tall. No one should be beating him to a header, realistically.
Nutmeg by McAtee to play it through to Dominguez, 25 yards out. Back out wide to McAtee, right corner of the area. His run is stopped by Muldur. Loose ball retrieved by Williams. Surges down the far side of the field, close to the corner flag. Checks back and finds McAtee. There are moments of flair and life in this Forest team, but it has been a little flat ultimately in the final third. They haven't tested Chetin in goal at all, as Anderson's reverse ball high, swirling down the right, is overhit. Williams can't get to it, and it's a goal kick.
Yeah, it certainly looked quite disjointed. It's hard for Nottingham Forest to really put consecutive passes together. I think they've got a lot of joy down this left-hand side with Anderson and Hutchinson. But other than that, centrally, they haven't really gone through Dominguez. Yates hasn't really had the ball in those areas to be able to play through the line. So they haven't really created that much.
Still Crystal Palace 0, Zrinski Mostar 0 over on Talksport tonight. That's 1 apiece on aggregate. Taking your calls tonight, Jason Cundy and Dean Saunders on the sports bar from 10-ish. 03717 223344. I say ish because, of course, we don't know whether one or both of these ties will end up going to extra time and or penalties. I don't think there's any great concern about that at the moment for Nottingham Forest, but Fenerbahçe certainly look buoyed by taking a second leg lead.
I'll tell you what, Joe, if they were to get another goal, that changes everything for me. I think the next goal in this game is so crucial. Has to be Forest, otherwise, they've been on the back foot since conceding. Yes, they're still highest in possession, but it doesn't seem that way. They're breaking down. We've just seen there Yates has tried to play Hutchinson, and N'Golo Kante again sweeps it up.
Good interception by Murillo in front of Aydin, and Murillo charges down the left but pokes the ball behind the run of Hutchinson, and it trickles out of play for a Fenerbahçe throw. And he's just saying, Vitor Pereira, calm down.
Yep, there's no need to rush. I think, they have to remember they're 3-1 up in this game, in this tie, and I think right now they're playing into the hands of Fenerbahçe. It almost looks like they're the team that's chasing the game a little bit more, put your foot on the ball. I'm not saying play boring football, but just kind of take a little bit of sting out the game a little bit.
Well, the final will be played in Turkey, Istanbul, the Besiktas Stadium, on the 20th of May. Forest hope that they will be there. Forward ball by Williams, down the right to McAtee. They're 3-1 up on aggregate, Forest. McAtee driving towards the right-hand edge of the penalty area. Left-footed curling cross, flicked on by Dominguez, headed away. Anderson on the volley, shanks that, and it's bounced well wide. Yeah,
Anderson looked like he got caught in two minds there. It was almost like he knew he shouldn't have hit it by the way the ball sat up, but it was really good play down the right-hand side. Dominguez does really well to also take away the other centre-back. A lovely little ball in from McAtee, but by the time Anderson hit it, almost like he knew it just didn't sit up, but he appreciated the ball from McAtee down that right-hand side.
I think from a neutral's perspective, Leanne, it is fascinatingly poised now, isn't it? We've got what feels like a proper tie on our hands. As you say, everything really points to the next goal, if there is to be one, being the crucial goal in the tie.
Yeah, and I think Vitor Pereira would like his team to have a little bit more. I mean, Murillo, every time he's got the ball, I like Murillo, but every time he's got the ball, he's giving it straight back.
And he's way out of position for the moment there in the left-back area. Sharif wins it back for Fenerbahçe. Lovely feet to the edge of the D. He rolls it wide left. Archie Brown, left corner of the penalty area, taking on Williams, thinks about a cross, jinks back inside, tries a right-footed delivery. It hits Jaya Cunha and goes behind for a corner to Fenerbahçe, and Murillo is really struggling in that left-back position tonight.
He is, and he's given away the ball far too easily. I mean, last week he scored a sensational goal, breaking the lines, running through with the ball, but I think, he just needs to put his foot on it, play through the lines, giving it away. Really good play from Brown, though, down the left-hand side.
Corner taken short, Aktakoglu out to N'Golo Conte, back out wide, Aktakoglu again with a dangerous cross, takes a bounce, Ortega gets his gloves to it. Very nearly a second goal for Fenerbahçe. Ortega didn't know a lot about it. The ball just hit the goalkeeper and he bounced up and was able to get it back under his control. Forest on the counter with Hutchinson now. Other end of the field attacking the Trent end. Left corner of the penalty area. Nudges it square. Dominguez with the ball in to the back post. McAtee with a really poor header. He should have gone across goal towards Luca, but in the end he nodded it down and harmlessly wide.
I mean, what a game this is, Joe. On one end you got, Ortega didn't know too much about that. Fenerbahçe nearly scored. Luca took a real air swing at it, defending it. And then they go up the other end. McAtee should head that back across goal. I'm not quite sure what he was thinking there in that moment.
Well, Crystal Palace have scored. Palace 1, Zrinski Mostar 0. Live on Talksport tonight in the Conference League. Maxence Lacroix, back in the side tonight, has got that goal. Live on Talksport. And of course, the best way to be across all of the action, the Premier League and Championship football this weekend, and indeed the fifth round of the FA Cup, which we'll be bringing you live in full, as you'd expect, on the Talksport network next weekend, is to just download our free app. Easy to download, and then you can swipe between all of our stations as and when you'd like to. You can take us with you on the Talksport app wherever you go. Aydin with a square ball infield to Conte. Aydin, little check back away from Hutchinson, and he rolls the ball back to Demir. Finally poised at the moment. 1-0 Fenerbahçe, 3-1 to Forest on aggregate. Floated forward by Guendouzi, high over the top. Sharif trying to work the chase with Jaya Cunha, who gets there first and thunders the ball away. We're in the 37th minute, and at the moment, you'd think it's Nottingham Forest who'll be happier to hear the half-time whistle.
They will, and I think it's quite interesting now. Sheriff and Nene and Aktakoglu is causing so many problems for this Forest back line, because they're creating overload centrally and they look a bit all over the place in the back line, Forest, and I think that's usually been their power this season, being able to play out from the back.
Anderson has possession just in front of the halfway line. The ball is played back to Morato, tall and slender, the number 4. Now Jaya Cunha. Forest from right to left in the first half towards the Trent end.
It was interesting there because Williams picks up the ball in that right back position, and this is the first time he was looking for someone in front of him, and the distances between the midfield and the front are far too great for me, because Williams is quite high now. He picks up the ball here, but where are the options?
Williams with a chance to cross into the penalty area. Luca heads it away from goal. Looked like he was going to tower over that, Luca, although he was a long way from goal itself in the context. Difficult header. Dominguez scampers away to the right. He thinks he's won it back, but the referee blows for an earlier foul on Ismail Yüksek.
That is not a foul. That is not a foul. Yüksek gets really fortunate here because, yes, McAtee puts his hand on him, but not enough for him to go down. And they were on the break there. They were on the counter, Forest.
Frustrating night to be a Forest fan. One or two getting up out of their seats in front of us with the red scarves on. We've got 7 minutes plus added time. There could be quite a bit of added time to go in the first half here on Talksport 2, and a much more closely fought second leg than I think many would have expected, particularly when you take into account the Fenerbahçe team news. Their top scorer, Talisca, unavailable tonight. Fred can't play, Ederson can't play. Familiar names from the Premier League, those two. Header on by Conte down the near side to right. Anderson hugging the touchline. He gets through so much work. Oh, but he's given it away to Sharif. Angle tight in the area. Hits the side netting. Well, he had to go across goal there, the front man Sharif. Why did he think he could shoot and beat Ortega? Anderson gets away with it. Still just 1-0 to Fenerbahçe.
Yeah, you can see what Anderson was trying to do, but then he plays a square ball to Morato in that moment. And for me, Sharif in that moment has to go across goal. Like you say, I don't know what he's thinking. It was such an acute angle from that moment. But sometimes in that moment, you do get a bit carried away because your eyes light up, but he had to square it.
Forest with Luca, who's been a very lightweight presence so far, have given it away not once but twice, and Luca's wrestled Yüksek to the ground, and that's going to be a yellow card without any question at all.
Yeah, that's a booking all day long.
A booking that they were appealing for on the field and in the front row of the press box as well.
Yeah, pretty obvious. I mean, you won't get a more clear-cut booking than that, really.
So a yellow card for Yüksek. 1-0 to Crystal Palace. They're 2-1 up on aggregate, live on Talksport right now. Fenerbahçe 3-1 down on aggregate, but 1-0 up on the night. And they've got their torches on their camera phones, the Fenerbahçe supporters, creating a light show away to the right. Yüksek trying to nudge the ball down the left-hand side. The Forest fans near us in the main stand are responding to that with a light show of their own. And still the rain tumbles down with 5 minutes of the first half to go. Header away by Murillo. Conte nudges the ball forward on the volley. Chested down by Dorgelis Nene. Up goes Dominguez with Yüksek. Dominguez won the header. Now Hutchinson back to Murillo, who miskicks it, and now chance for Aydin, racing into the area. Sharif is in the middle, cut back to Aktürkoğlu, who rolls it wide. Massive chance for Fenerbahçe. Forest all over the place on their left-hand side. Again, it was Murillo's mistake, caught out of position hopelessly there, although it wasn't a great ball back to him from Amari Hutchinson either, but Fenerbahçe should have reduced the aggregate deficit to 1.
Yeah, Aktürkoğlu in that moment, you wouldn't want it to fall to anyone, but in and around the penalty spot, just doesn't catch hold of it. But to be fair to Murillo in that moment, I thought it was a really poor ball from Hutchinson. He's tried to play it back to him, but Nottingham Forest, I'm sure at half-time, Vitor Pereira might be making some changes potentially. I don't think it's a tactical change. I don't think Nottingham Forest are being complacent. I just think Fenerbahçe have really stepped it up since they scored. They've taken the game to them, they're pressing them so high, and Forest cannot put passes together.
Forward by Aktürkoğlu down the middle. It bounces off the foot of Sharif, back to Aktürkoğlu. 3.5 minutes remain in the first half. Forest 1-0 down on the night. Lucky that it isn't 2. 3-1 up on aggregate. It does appear to me, looking to our left in particular, that there are a number of Fenerbahçe supporters in home areas tonight. This in the main stand, immediately to the left of the press box, and some to the front right of the press box as we look at it as well. There aren't many, there are a few dozen, but they are here in the home sections of the City Ground. There isn't any antagonism between home and away supporters at the moment, as far as I can see, which is a relief at least, but there are some Fenerbahçe supporters who appear to have got tickets in the Forest end. Clearance upfield by Ortega for Forest, punted upfield, header away by Mert Muldur for Fenerbahçe. On the field they've been quite impressive, Fenerbahçe, tonight. Brown though is dispossessed by Dominguez on the halfway line. Nottingham Forest win it back. Forest 0, Fenerbahçe 1. It's gathered forward by Luca with his back to goal. He's just got to hold the ball up better there against Guendouzi. I
mean, also, to be fair to Dominguez, he does really well to retrieve the ball, but they don't need to go forward so quickly. You know, why don't you make a few passes, get your confidence? But yeah, Luca's got to hold the ball up a lot better there, because they're hitting it into him. It wasn't even zipped into him, and his first touch is giving it straight back to Fenerbahçe.
3-1 to Fenerbahçe to Nottingham Forest on aggregate. Fenerbahçe 3-1 down. Out on the left-hand side, though, for them, it's an opportunity for Aydin to pull it back towards Koglu, who looks really dangerous with the movement that he showed in the game so far. Forest clear it away. There's a foul. Well, I thought there was a foul by Yüksek. No, says the referee. Throw-in taken by Fenerbahçe. Yüksek in the middle of the Forest half. Plays it backwards to Demir. Everybody inside the Forest half now, bar the Fenerbahçe goalkeeper Çetin. Fenerbahçe from left to right. Here is Yüksek in the bright yellow. Feeds the ball out to the left-hand side, gets it back from Mert Muldur. Little bit of movement of Forest fans around us in the main stand, heading for the concourse areas, but it is a nervy end to the first half, this for Nottingham Forest. 90 seconds of normal time remain, and we'll keep an eye on the fourth official who's right in front of us for any added time. Sharif coming back from an offside position, and that's a Nottingham Forest free kick, but Domenico Tedesco applauds the Fenerbahçe intently, Anne Sanderson.
Yeah, I think it's been a really good game, one that we were hoping for, Joe, because I think if Forest were to score the first one, it would be all over. But I think, it's been a really, really intense game. Forest, I think, at half-time, Vitor Pereira will be saying to his players, come on, just calm down, put your foot on top of the ball, there's no need to panic, we're still 3-1 up. But right now, they're lucky they didn't score again. Fenerbahçe have been on the front foot. Forest just can't keep hold of the ball. And Murillo, who's on the ball now, just keeps giving it straight back to Fenerbahçe. And to be fair, they are pressing really well, but they're giving it away again.
Yates lost out, the loose ball deflected out left to Hutchinson, and the throw goes Fenerbahçe's way in their right back position on the near side of the field. Some glum looking faces in the home crowd. It really has been a Jekyll and Hyde kind of season for Nottingham Forest. They've largely impressed in European competition. In the Premier League, of course, it's been a very different story. Remember, as Leanne said earlier, Fenerbahçe have never overturned a first leg deficit in 26 European ties before. 3-1 down on aggregate, into 4 minutes of added time at the end of the first half. Yüksek prods it forward, Cunha makes a good interception, but it drops to Brown. Brown is charging down the left-hand side. Cunha gets a head start, good pace by Cunha. McAtee nips in to play it back to Ortega. That was incredible pace from a standing start from the Brazilian defender, though they now give it away yet again, Nottingham Forest. They can't hold on to it at all at the moment, Leanne.
No, excellent defending from Cunha, recovered really well there, because it looked like Brown down this left-hand side had the beating of him 1v1, but I just don't really understand why Forest are getting so overloaded. They're player for player in certain areas, but I think they're causing them way too many problems for my liking.
N'Golo Conte, great chip over the top, Koglu back heel, Sharif, saved by Ortega. What a ball, what a back heel, poor finish. Sharif from the dead ball line cuts it across, and Ortega's there to gather again. Very important save.
Brilliant play. I mean, in the end, it looked like Ortega actually saved it with his chest. It was a lovely little ball from Kante. Koglu does a fantastic little back heel to Sharif in this moment, and they're all over the place for us. Their movement, Fenerbahçe, to be fair to them, has been excellent, and it was his chest in the end. Ortega was a fantastic save, and didn't know too much about it in that moment, but they just need to weather this storm, no pun intended, the fact that it's hammering down, but just get to half time for us, because there's no need to panic. They're still 3-1 up, but right now it doesn't look like that, does it? Like 3-1 up on aggregate, it doesn't look like that.
Feels like Fenerbahçe, the team in the ascendancy. 90 seconds into 4 added at the end of the first half. 1-0 on the night to Fenerbahçe, 3-1 to Forest on aggregate. On Talksport 2 in the Europa League live with Enterprise Rent-A-Car. Here for it. Book now at enterprise.co.uk. A poor clearance by Ortega straight out of play.
Interestingly enough, I've just seen Vitor Pereira send out 3 players from Forest, and to me it looks like those players will be coming on at half-time, because they're warming up pretty vigorously. It looks like Hudson-Odoi, Aina and Morgan Gibbs-White. So I was mentioned about maybe making a tactical change, but Vitor Pereira will not want the momentum of this game swinging towards Fenerbahçe any more than it already is, Joe.
And he'll be thinking about the massive game at Brighton on Sunday, which we'll bring you updates of over on Talksport on Sunday. Game day live every Sunday afternoon. Out on the right-hand side is McAtee. Socks rolled halfway down his shins. He treaded towards the corner of the penalty area, then went backwards, a bit negative, and that's irritated the Forest fans on the far side. We've got 90 seconds of added time to go. Forest go back to Morato, but it's a very nervy place at the moment, the City Ground.
I mean, I can't believe it's only 4 minutes added on.
Yes, I expected it to be more as well. Williams away on the right, thinks about a cross, tries a cross, hits the back of Brown, deflects into the path of Yüksek. Fenerbahçe have it with Yüksek middle of his own half, a chip over the top, too much on it on the diagonal for Aydin. You could see what his intent was, out of play for a Forest throw. I think Fenerbahçe have this second leg just where they would have wanted it before the game.
Yeah, definitely. And that ball from Yüksek, he was quite fortunate that it ran out of play, because again, Forest are being left 1v1 in the back line, and I can't get my head around it, because if that ball's better, certain players like Sharif are going straight towards goal.
Dominguez with an angled ball out to the left-hand side, well controlled by Hutchinson. He's got Anderson tearing forward on the overlap. He takes the defender with him. Hutchinson goes backwards to Murillo. Only Luca really the obvious target in the penalty area. Anderson waits for the run of Hutchinson, who pulls it across goal. Only half away by Demir. It'll bounce down out to the left-hand side. Anderson's there again for Nottingham Forest. Last few seconds of the first half. Referee has a look at his watch. Hutchinson whips in a high cross, way overhit, balloon towards the far post, well beyond Lorenzo Luca. And that is the half-time whistle. And some boos from around us here at the City Ground. But maybe the tie isn't over yet. It seemed to be a cruise for Nottingham Forest, certainly after the first leg and certainly in the first 15-20 minutes, as Nene goes to ground yet again for Fenerbahçe. But Kerem Aktürkoğlu's first half goal has put some intrigue back into the tie at half time. Fenerbahçe lead by a goal to nil on the night. Forest 3-1 up on aggregate. But it's not done yet, Leanne Sanderson.
No, but I don't think it's necessary. There were some boos around the ground. I don't think that's really necessary. There's still, I understand the fans will be disappointed in the performance, but it looks like, like I said, they'll probably make a quadruple substitution at half time. Igor Jesus has joined that crew as well, of the three that I mentioned before. I do think Fenerbahçe have been the better side in the first half. I think when they scored their goal, they took it to another level, and I just don't think Nottingham Forest have been able to keep the ball. They've been giving it away far too easily, and it's amazing what can happen, because Murillo was giving away the ball far too cheaply in the back line, and it was kind of breeding throughout the team where they were just giving away the ball constantly.
Tell us about the goal, Leanne.
Yeah, it was a fantastic ball. I thought Sharif held on to it for far too long for me, and then he makes a really good decision. Williams tries to, recover, and Aktürkoğlu puts it in the back of the net, and it was a really composed finish. And he had a similar situation, about 10-15 minutes ago, where you expect him to put it in the back of the net. And then for me, this just gave them that little bit of momentum. It was a fantastic finish, sits the goalkeeper down. Ortega's got no chance in that moment. But Aktürkoğlu had an opportunity, didn't he, about 10 minutes ago, similarly, and he kind of dragged it wide, and that could have changed everything, Joe. That would have been 3-2 on aggregate.
Well, no attempts on target in the first half for Nottingham Forest, I think, is the standout thing for Vitor Pereira.
And also, these substitutions that I've no doubt he's going to make, because they're warming up pretty vigorously, they may have been premeditated, right? Because they're obviously looking to rest players and have that luxury of being able to do that. But I do think, Luca, I've been quite disappointed in his movement. He's not holding on to the ball. And just because someone is really tall doesn't mean they have a divine right to be really good in the air. But everything is coming to him, it's bouncing off of him. McAtee as well knows that if he gives him the ball, he's not going to get it back. The couple of bright moments they had in the first 10-15 minutes when Hutchinson was down the left-hand side, him and Anderson were connecting really well, and then they switched it up, which I was quite surprised at. So no need to panic. It's still 3-1. I don't think they deserve to be booed off the pitch at half-time by a small percentage of the crowd, because they're still winning 3-1, Joe.
Vitor Pereira out? No.
Yeah, well, don't speak too soon.
Just a brief one, Leanne. On those who've come in for Nottingham Forest. And it was interesting in the FA Cup tie that they lost at Wrexham. You might remember Sean Dyche saying that effectively those who came in might be knocking on my door, but there's no way they've shown with their performance that they justify an opportunity. What about tonight of the Forest second string? None of them have really shown much. No, they haven't, but these things happen. They've done this in his competition. He'd made 7 changes, Sean Dyche, away in Braga, and that kind of came back to bite them. I think this team that was put out tonight should have had enough in it. They shouldn't have to be bringing on the so-called big dogs at half-time to get the tie wrapped up. They're 3-0 up, but they just need some players that can put their foot on the ball, alleviate a little bit of pressure, because right now it just looks like it's a matter of time before Fenerbahçe score another one. OK, much more from Leanne Sanderson to come here on Talksport 2. Second half on the way shortly for you. Fenerbahçe, a goal to the good on the night. Forest lead 3-1 on aggregate.
Europa League live on Talksport 2 with Enterprise Rent-A-Car. Here for it. Book now at enterprise.co.uk.
All right. resistance up. Let's climb.
Okay, here we go.
Oh, my knee's playing up again.
Have you ever had it looked at?
No, but I've been doing a few stretches.
When my shoulder went, Benenden Health got me expert help. Showed me exactly where I was going wrong.
30 seconds, people.
Press play on your health with physiotherapy and much more. All for less than £16 per person per month. Search Benenden Health. Fee reviewed periodically. T's and C's apply. Qualifying periods apply for some services, including physio. UK only. Visit benenden.co.uk.
1983 election, she's won a landslide second term.
Police have been deployed to disperse crowds as the poll tax riots escalate.
Credit crunch is continuing to spread from the USA.
Britain has left the European Union. I mean, the list goes on. Boris, Liz,
We've
Rishi.
helped Britain invest through 45 years of change. That's why we're the UK's #1 investment and savings platform, trusted by 2 million people. Hargreaves Lansdowne, helping Britain invest for it all. Investment returns vary. For claim verification, visit hl.co.uk.
Go wet umbrellas are for cocktails. There's not long left to get up to £300 off city breaks in EasyJet's Big Orange Sale. Plus, get up to 20% off flights. EasyJet. Get out there. Selected dates and flights sail on 3rd of March. Holidays, min, spend and ATOL protected. T's and C's apply.
Chicken dip has just landed at Domino's. Succulent tenders, wings and boneless bites, but that's not all. There are 9 dips to choose from, which begs the question, is it chicken with dips on the side or dips with chicken on the side? Dip into a world of flavour with chicken dip, new from Domino's.
Domino.
Subject to availability.
Yorkshire tea, where everything is done proper. Yorkshire tea, where everything is done proper.
Maybe not.
Yorkshire tea, where everything's done properly. Yorkshire tea.
Right, enough of that. How about Yorkshire tea, where everything's done proper?
Ticket, please. Thank you. Tickets, please, madam.
Sure, let me just... Oh, this jacket's got so many pockets.
No rush.
Got it on eBay. Vintage, one of a kind.
I just need your ticket, madam.
Couldn't find it anywhere. Then, ta-da! eBay. Total bargain.
That's nice.
Oh, thank you.
But I still need to see your ticket.
Oh, yes, sure. With great deals on things you love, you can't help but say when it's eBay. Things people love.
Talksport 2, official broadcast partner of the EFL.
It's a Friday night West Midlands Premier League showdown on Talksport.
He fires it a beauty.
Wolves take on Villa.
A goal where they most needed it.
All the Boston build-up from 7 with full live commentary from 8.
Oh my word!
Friday night football for the people on footballing phenomenon Talksport.
PGA Tour, the Cognizant Classic, tonight from 10, live on Talksport 2.
Blasted high into the air. Will it land softly? Oh my goodness!
As the world's golfing elite go head-to-head in Florida. Hear full hole-in-one commentary of all the action, direct from the Palm Beach Gardens Resort.
Will it get there? Will it get there? Yes! And it does.
PGA Tour, the Cognizant Classic, tonight from 10, live on Talksport 2.
Established and excellent evening star of football. Kick-off live
On Talksport 2.
A big night of European football across the Talksport network, and here on Talksport 2, Forest are firmly in control, 3-0 up on aggregate as the second leg begins. Down the right-hand side, 2 against 2, Sharif plays it in low, Akçakoglu must score, and he does score! And Fenerbahçe are back in the tie! Nottingham Forest caught out on the counter-attack. There are lots of Fenerbahçe supporters waving their arms up into the air behind the goal, but maybe there is hope in the tie for the Turkish club.
Takes a slight deflection off of Williams in that moment. He goes with the wrong foot for me, and Akçakoglu, great composure, puts it in the back of the net.
Back out wide, Akçakoglu again with a dangerous cross, takes the bounce, Ortega gets his gloves to it. Very nearly a second goal for Fenerbahçe. Ortega didn't know a lot about it. The ball just hit the goalkeeper.
If they were to get another goal, that changes everything for me. I think the next goal in this game is so crucial.
Now Hutchinson back to Murillo, who miskicks it, and now Chance Rydin racing into the area. Sharif is in the middle, cut back to Akçakoglu, who rolls it wide. Massive chance for Fenerbahçe. 1-0 they lead on the night. They trail 3-1 on aggregate. Yes, so it's not over yet in the Europa League, in the race for the round of 16. Forest 3-1 up on aggregate now, second half underway for you shortly. This game is brought to you in partnership with TNT Sports, the home of European football. Elsewhere tonight on the Talksport network, Crystal Palace lead Zrinjski Mostar in the Conference League by 1-0 in that second leg. It is 2-1 to Palace on aggregate. Talksport for second half commentary. Earlier on Talksport 2, Celtic beat Stuttgart 1-0 on the night in Germany, but it wasn't enough ultimately as they bowed out of the Europa League, losing 4-2 on aggregate. Ian Danter and the former Scotland striker Chris Iwelumo were your commentary team. This was how the action played out.
So can Celtic at least score the first goal here? Adamu getting an early touch for Celtic just over the halfway line. Poor clearance from Stuttgart, and McGregor can just chuck it out to the right hand side, and Adamu picks the ball up 15 yards from goal, slips it into the box, and I don't believe it, Celtic are in front, and it's Luke McCowan in 30 seconds. What a start for Celtic. Come back on!
Outstanding, but McCowan asking that question in behind the goal. It's an excellent start, they have to keep it up. What a goal!
Breaks at the edge of the area, and it's finally sent in by Buonani. And Dennis Undav got the final touch. So it's been ruled out, and he is offside. It is the shoulder. I did wonder. Now, chance for Furyk to be in down the left-hand side. The flag has stayed down for the Stuttgart number 10. Comes in on his right and scores. And then the flag goes up to deny Stuttgart an equaliser, and he's holding his fingers out to say it must be inches in it for Furyk, but the offside flag decision goes against him, and the full-time whistle goes in Stuttgart, and Celtic's European journey is over for this season, but they end with victory. It wasn't enough to reduce the aggregate lead enough to even force extra time.
Yes, a mixed night for Celtic. They bow out of the competition, but ultimately come away with a big confidence-boosting win in the second leg. After the game, Ian and Chris discussed Celtic's performance tonight and how Martin O'Neill will be feeling ahead of the Old Firm derby this weekend.
It was always going to be a difficult ask to progress to the next round, but to come and do something that they've never done before, get a win in Germany, fantastic, that's what it's all about. You know, so for me, yeah, take confidence from that. It's going to be a very different game at the weekend. Players going to be rested, fresh. There's a few players tonight, I think, who's really given Martin O'Neill a few headaches, and that's exactly what he wants as a manager.
Well, let's talk about that, because that's the important thing to come out of this game. Surely Sinisalo in goal has given food for thought as to whether he keeps his place in nets in place of Kasper Schmeichel. Then you've got Junior Adamu's performance for an hour. There was only one loose pass I remember him putting in. Thought he was decent. In terms of other players that came in tonight, I mean, the two youngsters at the back didn't disgrace themselves. Colby Donovan and Dane Murray did really well. Sarachi looked neat and tidy at left back. It's a question of what Martin thinks he's going to do the job, because what it is in an Old Firm derby, as you know, Chris, you've watched enough of them, it's brutal, it's aggressive, it's very much attritional. It's not one where skill wins the day. Normally it's the grit and determination that wins the day.
100%, you know, emotion takes over. I think what the players seen tonight, you're looking at McCowan as well, he has that temperament, you know, he has that quality that he can really make a difference in a game of that magnitude as well. Trust is obviously going to be a loss, you know. So again, you need to have that physicality. I think Dane Murray, you're looking at Donovan as well. I think they've been outstanding tonight. I think you take very much learning on the job, but what an occasion, what a platform to go out there and showcase exactly what you're about.
That's Ian Danter and Chris Iwelumo after Celtic were knocked out of the Europa League tonight despite a 1-0 win in Stuttgart. Crystal Palace a goal up against Zrinjski Mostar in the second leg over on Talksport this evening. They are 2-1 up on aggregate. Oliver Glasner's side, that in the Conference League. And here in the Europa League tonight, with the rain still pouring at a tremendous rate, Nottingham Forest are a goal down to Fenerbahçe, but lead by 3-1 on aggregate. I can see Nelson Semedo, the former Wolves defender, warming up quite vigorously on this near side for Fenerbahçe, so maybe they will seek to make a half-time change. But we need to see a different Nottingham Forest in the second half, Leanne Sanderson.
We do, but I also think when you're looking at the Forest team, they're still 3-1 up, you know, but the momentum is definitely with Fenerbahçe. You know, when they got that goal, I feel like they stepped up their game, and I feel like Forest couldn't handle the pressure. I think the fans of Fenerbahçe, they saw they could handle the pressure last week because, you know, Anderson spoke about the fact that it was one of the most hostile environments he's ever played in, and I think they have to be quite fortunate they're not playing away tonight, Joe, because I feel like the performance from Forest tonight hasn't been anywhere near the levels that we know they've done in Europe, but I do think Vitor Pereira will make changes tactically as well, and I think the players they have coming off the bench, I think they'll be too much for Fenerbahçe.
Again, you think about, yes, the options on the bench for both teams as the two sides are in the tunnel ahead of the second half, but you also think about the next goal in the tie, Leanne, and actually regardless of who Forest have on the field, if Fenerbahçe do get it, then it really is game on.
It definitely is, and I think this game has been excellent. You know, it's had a lot of bite to it, the intensity's been there, and I think Forest have played into Fenerbahçe's hands. I think they'll be happy at half-time with the way the game's gone. They'll probably be thinking, why didn't we do this game plan last week? But I do think for Forest, there's been a lot of unforced errors. The quality just hasn't really been there, and I think the midfield, Yates has given away the ball far too much. Murillo has been giving away the ball far too easily, and I also think it's quite concerning how they're getting done 1v1. I mean, why are the players being left 1v1 in those situations? I have no idea, but Fenerbahçe seemed to take it to another level as soon as they got their goal, but I do think Forest do have too much quality. No doubt the substitutions will happen at half-time because the way the game is swaying towards Fenerbahçe, I think Vitor Pereira, knowing how he performs, knowing how he plays, he has to make those substitutions.
Former Lionesses striker Leanne Sanderson is with us. Forest readying what looks like potentially as many as 3 changes. Igor Jesus, maybe even 4 at half-time. I can see Hudson-Odoi down there as well. I can see Sangare on the near side of the field too. And the other Forest player who's been warming up is Ola Aina. So perhaps as many as 4 changes on the way for Nottingham Forest, and at least 1 for Fenerbahçe as well. More live football coming up on the Talksport network tomorrow. Wolves against Aston Villa on Talksport. Bristol City against Watford on Talksport 2, and then Bournemouth Sunderland, Portsmouth Hull and Coventry Stoke on the network on Saturday, all as part of our game day coverage. All of those games live and exclusive. Mullov Kintyre rings around the City ground once again, but everybody's focus is on the near side of the field in front of the main stand, right in front of our commentary position where these changes are about to be made. Off goes Dorgelis Nene for Fenerbahçe. Here comes the former Wolves man, Semedo. And these are the 4 changes for Forest. The Europa League's top scorer, Igor Jesus, is coming on. So too, Sangare, Aina and Hudson-Odoi. 4 changes at half-time, Leanne.
Yeah, and I think that's pretty obvious to me because the way Vitor Pereira sent them out before half-time to warm up just before the half-time whistle happened, they're out there at half-time. But I think this is a positive for me, for Vitor Pereira, because I think if this is Sean Dyche, he doesn't make those substitutions, you know, in order to make the game better. Maybe they could be premeditated, but I'm sure Vitor Pereira wouldn't want to be having to bring on these players in this particular moment. But you can see the game is swaying in momentum, and I think the players that are coming out, you'll say them in a minute, I think that makes sense to me.
Murillo, Yates, Luca and McAtee, all as Leanne actually suspected at half-time. Hudson-Odoi, Sangare, Igor Jesus and Aina are the 4 to come on. Vitor Pereira leaving nothing to chance. Forest 1-0 down on the night, 3-1 up on aggregate. And actually the rain, well, it is still coming down, but it's lessened a little as the second half begins. A lot of Forest fans still retaking their seats. Fenerbahçe playing from right to left in the second half towards the Trent end, all in bright yellow, and Forest from left to right towards the Bridgeford end in the familiar red and white. I'll give you the 2 teams in full in just a moment. Good ball by Nelson Semedo down the right. Aydin cuts it back. Actor Koglu was it tripped by Cunha. Penalty! Penalty to Fenerbahçe. 30 seconds into the second half. Actor Koglu felled by Jair Cunha. A big mistake from the young Brazilian at the back for Nottingham Forest, and a penalty and a chance for Fenerbahçe to reduce the deficit to just 1.
This is unbelievable. I mean, I think it is a foul. And to be fair, Nico Williams is asking for a foul on him. I don't think it was a foul initially. Aktoglu does a really good job at selling this one because it was minimal contact, but as soon as you make any contact, Cunha makes the contact. Nico Williams is going over to the referee saying he thought he should have been given a free kick. I personally don't think so. And to be fair, like 30 seconds into the game, Forest were caught sleeping. They are checking it, Joe, because it was minimal contact, but from first look, it looked like a pen. The second time I've seen it, minimal contact.
Aktoglu standing over the ball and is ready to take the penalty. Still that VAR check going on. We're 90 seconds into the second half here on Talksport 2. Fenerbahçe with a real opportunity to bring themselves right back into the tie. Aktoglu against Ortega. Forest 3-1 up on aggregate, but for how much longer? He's diminutive, the number 9, takes a big deep breath in front of the Trent end, on its feet behind the goal, trying to put off the Fenerbahçe frontman. Ortega looks very calm on his goal line, all in blue. The referee just making sure that everybody is outside the penalty area. Bar, of course, the taker, Kerem Aktoglu, steps up right-footed and scores! Aktoglu's second, and Fenerbahçe are on the comeback trail. Our Nottingham Forest collapsing before our eyes in the Europa League tonight. Seconds into the second half, a nightmare start to the second 45 for Vitor Pereira and Forest, but it's Fenerbahçe who are 2-0 up on the night and now trail 3-2 on aggregate.
Great composure from Aktoglu in that moment. I said pre-game, if there's anyone that was going to score, it'd be him. Steps up, creates the penalty, made that third man run, and this is when, I mean, they've made the substitutions at half-time, Forest, but they've been again on the back foot. So they'll be looking for those types of players they brought into this game to kind of put their foot on the ball, make things happen, just settle down a little bit, because Fenerbahçe, fair play to them, they've come here and they're not hanging about, Joe.
Well, none of the subs have had a touch for Nottingham Forest as yet in the second half. 2-0 to Fenerbahçe on the night. Remember, Forest were 3-0 up on aggregate at the start of the evening. It's now 3-2 Nottingham Forest's lead. A very slender one. Ortega is the goalkeeper. Aina, Cunha, Morato and Williams in the back four. Williams on the chase, it's out of play for a Forest throw. Dominguez, Sangare and Anderson. Hutchinson, Hudson-Odoi and Igor Jesus up front. He broke Gary Birtle's club record of most goals in a single European campaign in the first leg. A lot of Fenerbahçe fans in the main stand in the home section, and they're clapping and cheering and waving their yellow scarves high above their heads. They're very much making themselves known here in the home end at the City Ground. But as I said in the first half, thankfully there isn't any aggravation between home and away supporters. Fenerbahçe in the ascendancy. I'll give you their team as well in a moment as Forest come forward with Hutchinson notching the ball into the area. Jai Cunha is clear, saved by the goalkeeper, and the rebound is lashed wide by Dominguez. First big chance, first effort on target for Nottingham Forest.
Yeah, I mean, of all the players you'd want it to fall to, probably wouldn't be Cunha in that moment. He did his best, but that's not his position. I mean, he's a professional footballer, but he's just hit it low and hard. It was a decent save from Chetin in that moment, but if that's a different player, if it's Jesus in that moment, you know, if it's Anderson, he probably takes another touch and squares it. But if a player in Cunha was in unfamiliar territory.
Well, suddenly you can't take your eyes off this game at all. Early stages of the second half at the City Ground. Less than 5 minutes of it have been played. Forest in danger of blowing what was a 3-0 aggregate lead. It's now 3-2 on aggregate. Fenerbahçe have Chetin in goal. Muldur at left back. Demir and Guendouzi on the ball now at the centre halves. Semedo is the right back. Yüksek, Conte and Aydin in midfield. Great roar going up from the Nottingham Forest fans. Aktoglu, Sheriff and Brown in the forward positions. Sliding challenge by Morato to hook the ball out of play. It's a Fenerbahçe throw. It's very nervy and very tense for the home support here, Leanne Sanderson.
It is a fair play to Fenerbahçe because they've come here. They're showing Marinakis on the big screen as well now. We can see it in front of us. He won't be happy with how the things have gone so far, but I think, you know, they just had the substitutions. It's only 5 minutes into the second half, Joe, but at the same time, they just haven't still been able to get a foothold in this game, Forest. The momentum is with Fenerbahçe. They're giving away the ball. Again, Sangare has come into this game. He's given the ball straight back to Fenerbahçe.
They can't retain possession at all, Nottingham Forest here. Vitor Pereira, whose team are yet to score under him at the City Ground. Remember, narrowly beaten by Liverpool in the Premier League at the weekend. There are a lot of police, actually. 7 or 8 in the vicinity of the Fenerbahçe fans to our left, who are in the home section. And in fairness to them, they're not trying to antagonise the home support. They're just trying to get behind their team. But whether they should be there in the home section for a Europa League game is another thing altogether. Hutchinson's ball forward to the halfway line. Igor Jesus tearing forward. Aina up in support down the right. Ola Aina with an early ball in. Hudson-Odoi went for it. It's going to trickle out to play for a goal kick. What a tie we have on our hands now on Talksport 2.
This game's unbelievable, Joe. What a game. It's probably one of my favourite games this season. I didn't expect it to go this way. Igor Jesus plays really a nice ball out to Aina down this right-hand side, and to be fair to him, he tries to go early into Hudson-Odoi. I don't think Aina needs to play this ball so quickly, but it's positive. You know, the fact that it's taken till the 50th minute for Forest to get a shot on target, Joe, just about speaks true to the lack of opportunities they've had in front of goal.
Clearance upfield by Nelson Semedo. Sharif in a foot race with the speedy Jaya Cunha. He was offside anyway, Sharif. Only the 4th appearance that Cunha's made for Nottingham Forest. He is tremendously quick, isn't he, the centre-half?
He is. He's doing really well, because like I said in the first half, I was quite surprised they were allowing players like Sharif and Nene, who's now gone off, to go 1v1.
Here come Nottingham Forest carrying the ball down the left-hand side. It's Callum Hudson-Odoi looking to drive in field. Back to Elliot Anderson, who switches the play out to the right. Ola Aina chips the ball into the box. It's reached Hutchinson, who was only a couple of yards away from him. Fenerbahçe with almost everybody in yellow behind the ball. Forest still leading the tie. 3-2 up on aggregate, but 2-0 down in the second leg on the night. Jaya Cunha back to Morato. This is what makes two-legged European football just feel amazing, because Forest are still going through as it stands, but all the momentum with Fenerbahçe. Elliot Anderson about 25 yards out. Knocks it to his left, and Hudson-Odoi. Hudson-Odoi cuts it back for Nico Williams! Only just wide. A screamer from the former Liverpool man. He caught that really well, but in the end, it flashes wide of the target. What a hit!
I tell you what, that is some strike. He cuts across it, he allows the ball to come across, and I was waiting for the net to ripple. That was a fantastic strike from Nico Williams.
Well, still the rain unrelenting, and Fenerbahçe unrelenting tonight. They've got 2 of the 3 goals that they need, minimum 3. Forest fans upset with the referee because Archie Brown has been fouled. Free kick to Guendouzi and Fenerbahçe. Crystal Palace still lead by a goal to nil against Zrinjski Mostar in the Conference League tonight. That's live on Talksport. 2-1 on aggregate to Palace. City Ground finding its collective voice again. They do sense that this tie could somehow be slipping away from Nottingham Forest. 1 more goal and Fenerbahçe are level. Conte with a great ball down the middle. Sharif is after it. Only Cunha between him and the goal. Sharif to the right corner of the penalty area. Suddenly crowded out by red shirts, but he's still got it, Sharif. Sangare steps in, then Yuksek thunders a long shot. It cannons up into the air and is gathered by Ortega.
It's fantastic play from Sharif, but for me, I said it in the first half, there's no way that he should be causing this many problems for the Forest back line.
Anderson with a very clever ball, drilled low from left to right on the diagonal, not far away from Hutchinson, but goalkeeper Chetin in green was out to claim.
I mean, you're talking 70, 80 yard ball diagonally on the ground that almost made it from Anderson. It was a great spot.
Forest well off the pace tonight. If they didn't deserve to lose to Liverpool at the weekend, they deserve to be behind against Fenerbahçe this evening by 2-0.
Yeah, they just need to keep the ball though, Joe. They're just giving it away. You know, they're not combining at all. They're in a rush. Vitor Pereira in the first half were telling them to calm down, and hopefully the players they brought into the game, you know, I know they've scored since they've been in, but like maybe they can kind of calm them down just a little bit.
Great weight of pressure on Forest's shoulders. Hudson-Odoi shimmies down the left corner of the penalty area. Rather scoops it back to Nico Williams, who took a couple of touches to get it under full control. Hudson-Odoi in front of the Fenerbahçe fans, tries a cross, takes a deflection, hits the corner flag and goes behind for a Nottingham Forest corner. Now, of course, a Forest goal changes the complexion completely. It would give them a 2-goal aggregate advantage.
Yeah, and I think that's exactly what they needed. Even if they scored the first goal in the first 10-15 minutes, I think the tie will be over. Fair play to Fenerbahçe because they've actually taken the game to Forest, and Forest have played into their hands. But I think, goal from Forest right now would quieten them down.
A lot of height in this Forest team. Corner drifted in by Elliot Anderson, well taken by the goalkeeper Chetin, high above his head in the 6-yard box.
Yeah, it wasn't the greatest of balls into the box, to be fair, from Anderson. I mean, it was always comfortable for the keeper, Chetin. I know there's been a lot of talk this week about, goalkeepers being boxed out in and around that area. But I think it was a poor ball in, to be fair.
11 minutes into the second half. Sharif chasing a long ball down the left, and Ortega's committed. Ortega way out of his goal, and he gets very lucky. Sharif's touch was too heavy, and he's carried the ball out of play. No contact between him and the goalkeeper, but Ortega was committed, caught in no man's land, and very fortunate that the touch from Sariki Sharif was, for once in the game, a poor one, Leanne.
Yeah, really poor decision, and it looks like Ortega's actually hurt his hamstring in that situation. I know it sounds old school, but let the defenders defend. Has no reason. If you're going to come out in that moment, he wasn't high enough off his line to be able to make the ball in the first place. So why he came flying out, he got so fortunate in that moment. The Sharif's touch took it away from the goal.
Well, Angus Gunn is warming up on the near side touchline. They've actually got 2 goalkeepers on the bench, Forest, including the youngster Cian Willows, but Gunn, who's got plenty of international experience with Scotland, would be the man to come on should they need him. 11 minutes into the second half. Forest 0, Fenerbahçe 2. 3-2 Forest lead on aggregate in the Europa League. Live on Talksport 2 with Enterprise Rent-A-Car. Whatever it is, they're here for it. Crystal Palace lead Zrinski Mostar on the night and on aggregate, live over on Talksport tonight. And Ortega is still being treated. Well, this really could be a night where Nottingham Forest fall apart completely. A nightmare evening for Vitor Pereira if the game continues to drift in the pattern that it is. Betis or Michelin in the round of 16 for the winners. But Aktürkoğlu's on a hat-trick and Fenerbahçe are on the comeback trail.
Yeah, and I think they've been the better side overall. I think, it's going to take a little while. We've seen glimpses of Vitor Pereira's style of play in the first 2 games against Fenerbahçe away, Liverpool at the weekend. But I think the way the team have performed tonight has been nowhere near the levels that Forest can perform to. Now, these things do happen. There will be a night where everyone's just having an off night. And even the substitutions that have come into the game haven't been able to really stamp down their authority at all. It's almost like they've not made those substitutions.
Well, Mr. Mariani, the referee, inadvertently in the way of the ball, and Forest have it back with Jaya Cunha. Now Ola Aina, the right back on the near side of the field, very close to our commentary position, which is right level with where Vitor Pereira is standing at the moment in the rain. His arms are folded. Already more tumult at Nottingham Forest yet again. The 4th head coach to have taken the job on a permanent basis this season, with the owner Evangelos Marinakis watching on the big screen in front of him. Sangaré carries the ball forward, got lucky that he didn't give it away. Ricochet saw it spin into the path of Aina. Conte gets across to sweep it clear. That hit Dominguez. No change the momentum of the game. In fact, if anything, Fenerbahçe look even more dangerous as we head towards the hour mark.
Yeah, and I think they're doing a really good job at actually getting numbers around. In that moment there when Dominguez picked up the ball, you've got Brown around him, you've got Conte around him. They're getting a lot of numbers, Fenerbahçe, around the Forest players. It's hard for them to get out of the press. I think, at some point in time, I think Morgan Gibbs-White needs to come into this game. I think Forest need a little bit of quality, and I think for the players that are coming in, Joe, it takes a little while for a player to get up to the speed of play, especially in an intense game like this. Like, you can feel the intensity from here.
Well, are the 4 changes at half-time an admission from Vitor Pereira that, yes, he got his team selection all wrong?
And they just underperform the players. I mean, I know I said to you at half-time and I more or less called the substitutions, but at the same time, Hutchinson could have been that player instead of McAtee going off. Now, potentially, we could see Hutchinson going off, Gibbs-White comes into the game and he can play on the right and he can also go into the 10 as well. But they just need a little bit more quality in this game.
We've been playing for an hour. Now, is that Asensio ready to come on for Fenerbahçe? A player of rich quality. 3 times a Champions League winner with Real Madrid. Was on loan at Aston Villa last season, you might remember. He'll be coming on for the team in bright yellow very shortly. Fenerbahçe 1 goal away from a remarkable comeback. 1 goal away from levelling the tie on aggregate. Forest on the attack with Hudson-Odoi. Far side to left, nudges it backwards to Anderson, who whips in the cross, cleared away by Mert Muldur of Fenerbahçe. Yüksek, and they're charging forward on the break, but Yüksek loses it to Aina. Now Dominguez, 25 yards out, wide to Hutchinson, skins the defender, whips in the cross, high to the back post, and he's overhit that. It will reach Hudson-Odoi, who's kept it in front of the Brian Clough stand. He'll roll it backwards to Nico Williams. Asensio still waiting to come on. 30 yards out now is Aina. Right of centre, angled ball to the right, and Hutchinson again. Where's the end product from Amari Hutchinson? Left-footed curling shot, deflected away. Now Anderson's ball undercooked, intercepted by Akta Koglu. Fenerbahçe have it back midway inside their own half the field. Aydin, the number 70, gives it straight to Hudson-Odoi, but he stumbles on the ball, and it's won back by Nelson Semedo. Quick pass up to Sharif, the front man, on the halfway line, all the way back to Guendouzi on the edge of the Fenerbahçe penalty area. And the atmosphere continues to be extremely tense on the banks of the Trent. Certainly not as loud and as raucous as it was at the start of the game. And here comes the most decorated player in either squad tonight, Asensio, on in place of Aydin.
Yeah, I loved Asensio when he was at Real Madrid. He's had quite a strange career, to say the least, because when he went to Villa on loan, he did really well. I think since he obviously also had that knee injury, never really seemed to get the rub of the green at Real Madrid, but I think this is a player to bring on at this moment in time. Like, you don't get much better than him.
A hat-trick of Champions League trophies. You don't talk about that very often all around the European game. Off goes Aydin. So Fenerbahçe have brought on really their two senior players. The bench is very thin tonight for Fenerbahçe, and their bulk of supporters at the Bridgeford end away to the right are still singing and bouncing up and down. 2-0 to Fenerbahçe on the night, 3-2 to Nottingham Forest on aggregate. This is Talksport 2, and we've still got about half an hour to go. 27 and a half minutes to be a little more precise. And Forest have already made 4 substitutions in the game.
And to be fair to Forest, they're quite fortunate that Fenerbahçe have a lot of their players suspended or injured, because can you imagine if they had everybody fit and healthy and available? The way this game has gone, it's just been an off night for Forest. Like, these things happen. To me, that's not down to the manager. Sometimes you turn up for a game, you can't put your finger on it, but it's just not your night. Now, all it needs, Forest, my criticism of them, they haven't really created anything, Joe. And that's been my biggest kind of disappointment from them.
Igor Jesus trying to do just that, rolls the ball up the inside left. Brown is back there first in front of Hutchinson, who shrugs him aside. Hutchinson, no, the referee's blown for a foul. Hutchinson on Brown. Very lucky at first glance there, Fenerbahçe.
Yeah, but I think, there's not really
soft
much in it. It is soft, but as soon as you put your hand up like that, Joe, it leaves the ref with no choice, really. I think Brown's been really good for Fenerbahçe tonight. I think he's had a really good game defensively, and when he's had the ball in the attack as well.
Spoke about him being in the Derby youth system. He was also in the youth system at West Bromwich Albion at the start of his career, but has spent his senior career entirely abroad. Akta Koglu's gone down, but it's not a head injury, so play can continue with Anderson playing it backwards to Morato, and the referee stops it. Well, doesn't have to stop it.
No, but to be honest, those ones definitely hurt. Aina and Atakoglu go in for a tackle together. There wasn't a foul, but I've been there myself. I've seen a tackle like that before where you both kind of connect and you collide, and they do hurt. He's not trying to waste time in this moment. We're just getting another look on the monitor of the penalty as well. And to be honest, the first touch from Cunha doesn't actually get anywhere near Atakoglu. It's the second ball. It's the second one where it's like his knee hits him, and it kind of, there is contact. Minimal contact, but there is still contact.
Enough to send him to ground, and enough for the referee to give the penalty, which Akta Koglu dispatched, sending the goalkeeper the wrong way. Wolves against Aston Villa in the Premier League tomorrow night on Talksport. Wolves, who are still yet to beat Derby's record low points tally in the Premier League of 11. And Aston Villa, well, they're certainly challenging for Champions League football, if not necessarily in the title race for much longer. That's on Talksport tomorrow at 8. And at the same time, Talksport 2 brings you an intriguing game from the Championship. Playoff chasing Bristol City take on Watford. Still 2-1 on aggregate to Crystal Palace against Zrinjski Mostar on Talksport. Forest 3-2 up on aggregate against Fenerbahçe, who are temporarily down to 10 men. But Forest have put in a really poor second leg performance up to this point. Into the final quarter of the 90 minutes we go. Williams, angled ball out to the left, and it's Hudson-Odoi to run at Semedo. Hudson-Odoi down the outside, loops in across high to the back post, and that's going to drift behind harmlessly for a goal kick. Aktakoglu is back on the field now.
I think that's been the story of this game. I mean, Hudson-Odoi, the quality there, he's usually really good at delivering on the run, and I just think it's kind of been infectious throughout the team, the lack of quality that all of them have had individually, really.
Yes, sometimes it goes through the entire team, doesn't it? Nobody looks able to control the ball or make a simple pass.
It happens though, you know, Joe. Like, I've been there on teams where, you know, you prepare the same way, you eat the same way, you sleep the same way, and you turn up and it just isn't your night. But it's almost like one of those ones where it's a bit of a smash and grab, like get in and get out. As long as you get the result, you know, you can analyse it tomorrow. But the most important thing tonight is that Forest get this result.
Igor Jesus, square to Olarena, edge of the D. Oh, that's a poor ball behind Hudson-Odoi, as if to illustrate the point that we've been making. Hudson-Odoi sprints over to the touchline to just about keep it in play very hurriedly. Hudson-Odoi with the rain still falling. Back to Sangare, a long way from goal. The leggy Sangare, wearing number 6, orange boots on. Out to the near side. Dominguez had time to cross, but why so negative? Goes backwards to Cunha. We were waiting for the cross in there from Dominguez. Remember, Igor Jesus has been scoring goals for fun in this competition. 3-2 on aggregate to Nottingham Forest. Dominguez, right corner of the area. Underlapping run from Ola Aina. Trying to skip away from Archie Brown. Aina, dead ball line. Drills in the cross. Hudson-Odoi at the back post. Took it down neatly. Left-footed shot is in! Nottingham Forest have control back. Callum Hudson-Odoi off the bench. The super sub to roll it home left-footed. Forest have got a 2-goal advantage on aggregate, and that may well be enough to see them into the round of 16. They're 2-1 down on the night, Nottingham Forest, but they lead 4-2 on aggregate.
Brilliant goal, brilliant finish, lovely ball from Aina down this right-hand side, and it was a lovely take from Hudson-Odoi. They do so well. Dominguez plays that ball down the right, little underlap. Aina does so well, creeps it back onto his left foot, goes left, goes right, picks it out. It's a lovely ball across, and Hudson-Odoi does not panic. To be fair to Fenerbahçe defenders, they could have probably got a little bit tighter to him, but that will alleviate so much pressure now for Forest, because Fenerbahçe had the momentum. It actually took a slight deflection on its way to goal, but that doesn't matter. It's Hudson-Odoi's goal all day long. Keeper's got no chance.
And now it's the turn of the Nottingham Forest fans to use the torches on their mobile phones and just give them a wave.
It's interesting because the Fenerbahçe fans to our left-hand side, there's about 50 of them. They didn't pop up until their team had scored 2 goals, and now they're not here. And now the Forest fans are bantering them with all the lights.
Lights all around the stadium here tonight. And it's quite the show here at the City Ground. A lot of lights being shined by the Forest supporters. They've got control of the tie again. 4-2 up on aggregate, even though they're 2-1 down on the night. And I think most of it is pretty good-natured banter, which is good to see. And there's a line of policemen between the Forest fans and the Fenerbahçe supporters who are in the main stand. So no aggravation at the moment. Here come Fenerbahçe out on the far side with Asensio, who hadn't really had a kick before that Hudson-Odoi goal. 20 minutes to go, and what has been an enthralling tie. Semedo with a deflected cross, header away by Morato. Drops down to N'Golo Conte. Well, they needed the quality of Hudson-Odoi to get themselves right back in command, Nottingham Forest. The ball is angled wide by Muldur to Nelson Semedo. Semedo with an early cross. Aktakoglu went near post on a hat-trick, but can only glance it wide.
Yeah, it looks like it's actually gone out for a corner, to be fair. It looked like it took a deflection, but Aktakoglu looked like he took that, looked like he was taking his first touch, and then tried to get the second one. It was a decent save in the end. I think he came off Ortega.
It's a very good spot, because at first I thought Aktakoglu had totally nudged that behind. Asensio will take it, left-footed and in-swinging from the corner into the near post, bounces down towards Yuksek and hooked away by Jair Cunha. Now on by Semedo, header away by Hudson-Odoi, the Nottingham Forest goal scorer. 2-1 down on the night, but they lead 4-2 on aggregate here on Talksport 2. And Fenerbahçe have got to score at least twice, and there's only 20 minutes to go.
The thing is, they keep trying this switch ball from the left to the right-hand side, and they've tried it about 4 times in the second half, and it hasn't come off. But again, now Forest are 4-2 up on aggregate, but the pressure has not been alleviated at all because Fenerbahçe have got a clear game plan. And to be fair to Sheriff up top on his own, he's done a really good job for Fenerbahçe.
Atmosphere's picked up at the City Ground. Across comes Morato, effectively enough in front of Sheriff, who was in an offside position, and that'll be a free kick to Nottingham Forest. The roar of the City Ground, always special on European nights, and there may be plenty more to come between now and the end of the season in the UEFA Europa League. They haven't been convincing tonight, but Forest are still on the European trophy trail. Anderson dipping in between the two centre-halves to find Morato. Now there are 18.5 minutes to go. Can they just manage the game effectively from here, Leanne?
Yeah, that's what it's all about, Joe. Managing the game. They've given away the ball again.
Conte's won it back. Yuksek about 30 yards from goal. Actually took it off the toes of Asensio. Nelson Semedo crosses, headed away at the near post by Morato. Cushion ball back from Hudson-Odoi to Sangare. They suddenly seem to have found their feet in this game, Forest. Hutchinson on the halfway line, hits it down the middle, miscued clearance. It'll come out wide to Ola Aina. He's kept it in play. Oh no, what was he thinking? He tried to keep it in play. Nobody around him by the corner flag, and his touch was so poor that it bounced off his right foot and went out.
Yeah, and if you'd have let that go out, that's an example. We talk about game management, like let the ball go out and it would have been their throw because the Fenerbahçe defender shanked it out of play. So I just think Forest, it's been an intense game, no doubt. The players have left everything out there, but the quality just needs to be that much better. See this game out. It's 4-2, possess the ball. I've been saying that the whole game. We spoke a lot about Elliot Anderson. Love the guy. I think he's a top player. Real bright future ahead, but he hasn't really been in this game in the second half, Joe, at all. That hasn't had the ball.
This game is brought to you in partnership with TNT Sports, the home of European football. All of the Europa League awning, the orange and black, around the stadium tonight. 17 minutes to go, so Forest will play either Real Betis or Midtjylland in the draw for the Champions League and the Europa League and the Conference League on Friday, and Talksport will be across all of that for you. Here is Aina, just over the halfway line. Little 1-2 between him and Igor Jesus. Now Sangare, standing on halfway, pops it back to the feet of Jaya Cunha. Morato out to the left. Morato over the halfway line. Angled ball to Hudson-Odoi, and certainly Fenerbahçe have been hit confidence-wise by conceding that goal. Igor Jesus looks up. Good ball angled out left. Nico Williams on the overlap. Into the penalty area now. Chance to cross. Williams tries to pull it back. It's deflected away, come back towards Williams, and eventually poked clear by Demir as Fenerbahçe get ready to make a couple more changes in the game.
That was fantastic play from Forest. Their best pattern of play I've seen. It's taken to the 74th minute, popping it around, dragging Fenerbahçe out of position, getting a little bit more momentum since they've got that goal. But I think this is exactly what the Forest fans would want. Dictate the tempo, get the ball, possess. We haven't seen them do this, Joe, at all in this game.
Yeah, this is the type of performance that you'd have expected from Forest from minute one. It's taken them 74 minutes in the game, but it really helps that they've got a proper foothold. Given away by Elliot Anderson on halfway, one back by Asensio. Good turn to find Conte. Conte nudges the ball away from Sangare, but he's beaten for pace by Jaya Cunha. Has lost a touch of his engine, N'Golo Conte maybe, which is entirely understandable as the years have gone by. He's 34 now. Maybe not quite as quick as he used to be on the uptake.
He still thinks quickly, though. I think that's what sets him apart in his whole career. I don't think he was ever really blessed with pace necessarily, but it's his thinking, Joe, and ability to be able to be in those positions, dictating the tempo. And obviously over time, you lose that half a yard.
Two ready to come on in yellow for Fenerbahçe, Akici and Merkan. Forest on the attack meanwhile with the goal scorer Hudson-Odoi. 4-2 up on aggregate. Reverse ball to Elliot Anderson. Dead ball line. Ready to pull it across. It takes a deflection. Comes back to Hudson-Odoi, who places it only just wide. A yard or two wide at the far post, and it's a goal kick to Fenerbahçe.
Lovely take from Hudson-Odoi from this left-hand side, tries to bend it, doesn't try and break the net. And it was really close to going into that bottom right-hand corner. I think he's been excellent since coming into this game. He's kind of an inconsistent player, Hudson-Odoi. I think he's got so much ability. There was a time when he was knocking on the door internationally as well. But I think, he's just slightly inconsistent. But he's been excellent since coming into this game and been the difference. Not just his goal, but hugging the touchdown out on the left-hand side. And a little bit of quality that I think was lacking in the first half.
Akichi replaces Sharif and Merkan for Brown here for Fenerbahçe. Maybe the fact that Sharif is going off is a sign that there's not as much belief in the Fenerbahçe ranks. They've got to score at least 2 goals in the last 14 minutes to take us to extra time. They've certainly put in a very brave effort, Fenerbahçe, on the field tonight, but it surely isn't going to be enough from here, Leanne Sanders.
No, but it's doable. I mean, Sharif's put in an excellent shift. He's been brilliant in this game. I think Brown was really good as well. There's been a lot of standout performances from Fenerbahçe for sure.
Merkan suddenly darts forward over the halfway line, puts it through towards Akichi, who's sandwiched in between 2 red shirts. One of them, Jaya Cunha, sweeps it away for Nottingham Forest, and then it's given away by Yuksek. Forward by Anderson, Igor Jesus, and Fenerbahçe are a bit stretched now. Jesus looks so much better at holding it up than Luka, although his clearance has cannoned off Conte, and a great ball by Yuksek. Aktoglu's in the area, tries a left-footed shot, that's well blocked. There was trouble momentarily for Forest there before it's lofted upfield by Nico Williams and away from danger. Now Akichi on the turn, edge of the penalty area. Well, they have come on and injected a bit more energy back into Fenerbahçe, the subs.
They have, and Aktoglu there, he actually stayed out on the right-hand side inside the area, and he actually took his touch inside to the numbers, whereas if he'd have kept his width a little bit more inside the area, he could have taken his touch and caused a little bit of a problem on Ortega, but he took his touch into the bodies.
Conte's touch carries him forward into the centre circle. Angled ball wide left to the near side, and Mert Muldur to Merkan, who's got no one to aim at in the penalty area at the moment. 12.5 minutes remain on Talksport 2. Sports Bar coming up on Talksport once we're done tonight. 03717 22 3344 to speak to Jason Cundy and Dean Saunders tonight. That's on the Sports Bar once we're done here, and it looks like Forest are going to go through in the Europa League. Celtic knocked out earlier, live on Talksport 2, and it looks as though Crystal Palace will go through in the Conference League as well. Forest still on the road to Istanbul, and that ultimately is all that matters after tonight.
Definitely, and I think a lot of these fans have been thinking about European glory again. Back in the day they used to have that. This club has a lot of history. But like I keep saying, Joe, fundamentally, the players, the ownership, they want to be in the Premier League. And they balanced it quite well. I think, hasn't been the greatest of performances tonight.
But they are on the attack again with Igor Jesus. Right through the middle here. Good save by Chetin. Out to deny him. The goalkeeper spread himself at the feet of Igor Jesus. Just about keeps Fenerbahçe in the Europa League.
Do you know what? I actually thought that was a magnificent save. I always tend to be critical of the centre forwards in that moment because it's a breakaway, it's a 1v1, but I think Igor Jesus does everything right. He takes it so well. Guendouzi has no chance, takes his second touch away, and it's a fantastic save from Chetin in that moment. He tries to dink it almost over the keeper. We can see Vitor Pereira going absolutely crazy, and it looked like he was telling him to dink it, but I think it's a fantastic save from Chetin in that moment.
He looks ready-made for this competition, doesn't he, the Brazilian Igor Jesus? 7 of his 12 goals this season have come in Europe.
Yeah, I saw him play a lot in the Club World Cup as well with Botafogo, and I remember thinking, you're always going to be judged on your goal scoring as a centre forward, but I think it's the runs he makes, he creates things, but obviously the fans want him to score more goals in the Prem.
Forward by Conte, Aktoglu, 25 yards out with the shot. Oh, I think it might have hit his own man, Asensio there, as it went towards goal. What a hat-trick, remember, Aktoglu tonight. Forest 4-2 up on aggregate thanks to that Hudson-Odoi goal here. 2-1 down on the night to Fenerbahçe. But Forest are going through as it stands with 10 minutes exactly remaining, plus anything that's added at the end of the game. This is Talksport 2. Lovely ball by Hutchinson. Rolled in field high to Dominguez, who knocked it forward on the volley. Overhit straight to Chetin. That wasn't good game management.
No, but I think Anderson certainly looks more comfortable since Sangare came into this game. I think they're managing the midfield a lot better. Composure, popping the ball around. I think that's been one of the biggest differences in this second half. They need players that are willing to step up for the battle, because in the midfield, that's where games are won and lost. And they've stepped up to the battle in the second half. I think in the first half, they weren't really ready for the battle. I think Fenerbahçe had the upper hand for sure.
Worth saying, of course, that Hudson-Odoi goal, Forest's first at home under Vitor Pereira. They have an away game at Brighton on Sunday. N'Golo Conte, midway inside opposition territory, nudges the ball down the inside left. Cunha shrugs aside. Ikichi plays it back to goalkeeper Ortega. It's a shame that Cunha conceded the penalty, because other than that, he's had quite a good game.
He has, and he had that opportunity in front of goal as well.
Good ball by Conte to Aktakoglu, left corner of the box, trying to dribble inside Morato. Morato gets there first, stands up well. Aktakoglu went to ground, certainly no penalty. Forest clear it away. Nottingham Forest 1, Fenerbahçe 2, but Forest lead 4-2 on aggregate. And there's a foul on Aina, and they're nearly there, Forest, I think now. There was real jeopardy in the game at one stage after that Aktakoglu penalty, but actually Fenerbahçe haven't really created anything since then.
No, they haven't, and this is what European football is all about. You know, a lot of people are saying that this tie was already over from the first leg, and this is why we love European nights, because it's unpredictable. And that's why I've said it's not a foregone conclusion. I know a lot of Forest fans think they can win this competition, and on their day, they've got decent players individually, but I think it's a difficult competition to play in, it's a difficult competition to win.
Morgan Gibbs-White, stripped and ready to come on in the red and white of Nottingham Forest. Header flicked down the middle by Dominguez. Out comes the goalkeeper Chetin to hack it away. Yuksek from the halfway line has scooped the ball towards the right. Conte juggles it over the head of Williams. Did very well there, Conte, and wins Fenerbahçe a throw. 2-1 to Fenerbahçe on the night, 4-2 to Forest on aggregate. In Europa League, live on Talksport 2 with Enterprise Rent-A-Car. Here for it. Book now at enterprise.co.uk. Such a good player, Gibbs-White. I mean, when you think about the talent, especially some of the English talent in the team that Forest have got, I can't see why they're struggling in the Premier League. Great cross, Nelson Semedo into the area, and that bounces wide. They've got some really good young English talent in this team, Leanne.
Yeah, love Morgan Gibbs-White, and I think because we have such an array of talent in that position with England, he probably will be one of those players that won't be going to the World Cup. Could be have an outside chance. I love him. I think he's very versatile. That might be able to work in his favour. But I love Morgan Gibbs-White, and again, he's another player that will be constantly linked away from this football club. And I think you're looking at this, the way Forest ended, the league stage. They ended in 13th place, Joe, right? Now, it doesn't make me believe that means a team can't go on to win a competition, but that's quite a long, big margin, isn't it? You look at the way, Aston Villa approach this competition, Lyon, but I think they'll fancy their chances against a Betis or a Midtjylland, won't they? That's probably the over-silver lining. They played against them before, so there's no doubt, and you've got to be in it to win it, but at the same time, they didn't have the greatest of runs in this competition up until it gets to crunch time.
They lost at home to Midtjylland, had a very good performance, probably the only good performance under Ange Postecoglou at Real Betis, where they drew 2-2 in Seville and probably should have won that game. But knockout football, the deeper you go into major tournaments, whether they be international or club-based, the stakes only become higher. 6 minutes to go here, and Forest heading through 4-2 on aggregate at the moment. Fenerbahçe must score at least twice, and they don't look like doing so at the moment.
No, I think, that goal from Hudson-Odoi just took the sting out of Fenerbahçe a little bit, but you can't, deny their willingness, ability to put it. And if this would have been the performance from Fenerbahçe last week, especially when they had all their players available as well, it might have been a different story, Joe.
Yuksek has carried the ball over the halfway line, tried to nudge it through the legs of Sangare, goes backwards instead to Guendouzi. Long hair hanging down, soaked in the rain. Demir with the angled ball out to the far side, and Nelson Semedo who carries it forward. Early ball across towards Aktakoglu, cleared away by Morato. It's retrieved by Conte. Conte about 30 yards from goal, but a sea of red shirts in front of him. Has to nudge it wide to Asensio. Asensio looks up from the middle of the Forest half, plays it square to Yuksek. Just the 5 minutes to go now, plus added time. Of course, another Fenerbahçe goal at this point would make it suddenly very tense again, and the City Ground crowd sense that. Not quite over just yet. Conte, unlike him, has knocked the ball straight out of play.
Yeah, it's certainly been quite a nervy night probably for the Forest fans, but I think when you hear the Forest fans talk and stuff, they don't get carried away. You know, they're quite balanced considering they've had a lot of up and down this year, different managers, people in charge. Don't know whether they're coming or going, but I think at the end of the day, all that matters is they get through, Joe. And I said this hasn't been the greatest of performances, hasn't been the greatest individual performances, and these things do happen.
Gibbs White, first real touch for him, the number 10. Scampers over the halfway line. Good ball out to the right, the near side. Hutchinson, as the Forest fans get to their feet in front of us. Hutchinson with a left-footed in-swinging cross. Header away by Guendouzi. It'll bounce down towards Nico Williams. Forest have taken the sting out of the tie, if you like. Got a 2-goal aggregate advantage. Now 4 minutes remain. Tedesco, the Fenerbahçe coach, pacing about in his technical area. But despite a valiant effort from his team, it looks as though the Turkish club are going to go out.
See, now they're reluctant to press.
Sangare has lost out on the halfway line, and Akichi's got good pace, but so too Ola Aina, who nicks it away from him for now. Akichi still holding on to the ball as he dribbles towards the corner flag. Eventually Sangare retrieves the situation. Not a night where pass completion will be very high for Nottingham Forest, I would have thought. Anderson trying to carry it forward, runs into Guendouzi. They've won it back again. Yüksek for Fenerbahçe. Ball down the inside right. Aktürkoğlu pulling it back. Edge of the area is Merkan. Merkan with the shot, and he drags it wide.
Yeah, Merkan just drags out wide there, but Aktürkoğlu does a really good job at picking him out because he waited for everybody to almost overcompensate, especially past the front post, and then picks his pass out. But yeah, I was saying, you know, with this Forest team, like, I just think they need to do a better job at when they are up in the way that they are. Yes, they're losing 2-1 on the night, but they're still 4-2 up. Just game management, seeing the game out. Like, Anderson's picked up the ball there and just tried to make, you know, a massive run through the midfield. You don't need to do, I love Anderson, but you don't need to do that in this position.
Well, they haven't managed it particularly well,
Not
have they,
all.
throughout the game? Former Lioness Leanne Sanderson is with us on commentary tonight on Talksport 2. Couple of minutes of normal time remaining. Asensio to the right edge of the box. Low shot, spilled by Ortega, and the rebound cleared away by Ola Aina. Well, Vitor Pereira throws his arms up into the air as if to say, why didn't the goalkeeper just hold that?
Yeah, I mean, maybe we can forgive him on a night like tonight where it's absolutely hammering down, but at the same time, you'd expect Ortega, if he's not going to catch it, to parry it away from goal. Aina did really well there because he was the first to respond and be able to clear the ball.
Very slippery surface. Aina got there first, and N'Golo Kanté down the middle. Good spell this for Fenerbahçe. Akichi on the turn, looking lively and wriggling his way towards the edge of the area, stopped by Cunha. And then Anderson carries it forward brilliantly, and it's 4 against 3, and now it's through to Hutchinson. Hutchinson is clear. This one to wrap it up. What a save! What a save by Chetin. Well, how he turned that away, diving to his left, I do not know. A gilt-edged chance for Amari Hutchinson. He should score, but it's a miraculous save.
It's a fantastic save from Chetin, taking nothing away from the save, but I think Hutchinson has to score here. You know, he takes his touch away from all of the Fenerbahçe defenders. He's got to score there for me, at least make the goalkeeper, you know, make it more difficult. He's hit it straight at him. It's a good save, but he could take it around him.
Hutchinson, short corner, gets it back from Anderson here. Anderson, right corner of the penalty area. Hutchinson away on the near side of the field, taking on Aktürkoğlu. Seemingly the danger was gone for a moment. Hutchinson shimmies infield, plays it back to Sangare. Only scored once for Forest, Amari Hutchinson, since joining the club. Darting down the left is Hudson-Odoi, thinking it in high. Header goalwards is looping and wide by Morato, who I think got the touch ahead of Igor Jesus.
Good play again from Hudson-Odoi down his left-hand side. I think he's been a real difference to this Forest side, and it was Morato that took the ball off of Igor Jesus' head. Decent effort.
Last 30 seconds of normal time. Forest 4-2 up on aggregate, despite losing 2-1, it would seem, on the night. Lots of Forest fans all around the City ground now, content to head out into the evening, content that the job is done. Semedo hugging the far side touchline for Fenerbahçe, plays it infield and square to Conte. Back now, heavy touch of Demir, and there are only 4 minutes of added time. That's surely not enough for Fenerbahçe to get the 2 goals they need.
No, it's been a great game though, Joe. I've really enjoyed this one. Like, you know, we were saying 3-0 first leg. Most people would think the game was all over from the first tie, but I think I've loved the intensity of this game. I think it's been excellent. I'm sure for Forest fans and Vitor Pereira, they probably won't be happy with the way the game has been for them. You know, the momentum has been with Fenerbahçe since they scored way back when, you know, in the 22nd minute. But I do think Fenerbahçe can be really proud of their performance. I'm sure the Fenerbahçe fans will be thinking, where was this last week? You know, because I think if they had this type of performance last week, it would have been a bit more of a spicier tie in this second leg. But I do think, you know, at the end of the day, Forest are going to get the result. They're going to go through, and that's all that really matters.
Good noise from the Forest fans who are still in the ground. A minute through, 4 added at the end of the game. 2-1 Fenerbahçe, but Forest's first leg performance and result is surely going to be enough for them in the tie. And that's what it's all about, knockout football, whether it's the Europa League, the Conference League, where Crystal Palace looks set to go through, live on Talksport, or the Champions League. Knockout football is based over 2 legs, so you have the opportunity, if you let yourselves down in one leg, to patch it up in the other. Crystal Palace have won 2-0 tonight, so go through 3-1 on aggregate in the Conference League. Sports Bar on the way for you over on Talksport. You can have your say on 03717 223344. But you're absolutely right, Leanne Sanderson. This has been a really entertaining game, regardless.
Yeah, really, really good. And I think, you know, the Forest fans won't be that happy with the way the game's gone, but I do think all that matters is they're in the hat for the next round. You know, they'll fancy their chances against Midtjylland or Real Betis. We'll have to wait and see after the draw. But I think, you know, Forest will obviously be in it now, got the result they needed, and that's all that matters.
Hudson-Odoi's on the halfway line. Halfway through the 4 minutes of added time, he's fouled by Semedo. I think the referee's done a very good job, actually, and there's no need to book Semedo there, really, in the context of the game, and he doesn't.
Yeah, clever refereeing. I mean, it was a booking all day long. We saw the one in the first half on Luka. But I think, you know...
You know what I mean, though.
Yeah, no, I agree. And that's what we're talking about. I mean, just referees using their common sense and making that type of decision.
Well, it's not going to be a home win for Vitor Pereira, not unless Forest scored twice in the last few seconds. But it is going to be progression in the Europa League. Real Betis or Midtjylland awaits. Evan Gesson, by the way, got that second goal for Crystal Palace against Zrinski tonight. A morale-boosting night for Oliver Glasner's team. They're through in the Conference League. And apart from Celtic going out earlier this evening, it's been another good week for the British clubs in European competition. Into the last 40 seconds now. Fenerbahçe need to score 2. It isn't going to happen. They go back into their own half with the throw. And from a point where some in the City ground might have been panicking, in the end, it's going to be relatively comfortable for Nottingham Forest, though it certainly didn't feel like that for much of the match. Jaya Cunha shepherds the ball out of play and behind for a goal kick. Ortega will take it shortly, and that will probably be it.
Yeah, I think Cunha's been excellent tonight. Really, really good, apart from that penalty giveaway, which the more you watch it, seems soft, but there was minimal contact. But I do think, as we've seen in the second half, you know, a quadruple substitution, you know, I think it definitely has made a difference for sure.
Evangelos Marinakis has stayed to the end, leaning forward in his seat. And that's the full-time whistle. Nottingham Forest are still on the road to Istanbul. Vitor Pereira's team are into the round of 16, where they will face either Real Betis or Midtjylland, and that despite a second leg defeat to Fenerbahçe, who win on the night by 2-1, but ultimately what told for Forest in the tie was their performance and the result, of course, in Turkey in that first leg. That's not to say it wasn't nervy in the rain. It most certainly was, especially after those 2 goals from Aktürk Koglu that pulled Fenerbahçe back within 1. But one of the half-time substitutes, Callum Hudson-Odoi, scored the goal that ultimately killed the tie off and killed off any hopes of a remarkable Fenerbahçe comeback. It's not the victory that Vitor Pereira, nor the performance really that Vitor Pereira would have been hoping for, but job done in the end for Nottingham Forest, and the European adventure continues. Forest will play either Betis or Midtjylland next. They have been beaten tonight by 2-1, but Forest win the tie 4-2 on aggregate. Leanne Sanderson.
Yeah, I mean, it wasn't the most easy on the eye performance from Forest, but all that really matters is they are through. The fans are not getting carried away. They probably know it wasn't anywhere near the performance, but at the end of the day, they're in their hat for the next round, and that's all that matters. Fair play to Fenerbahçe. They did an excellent job. You know, they gave everything, and it could have been a completely different tie had they have performed like that, Fenerbahçe, last week and had everybody available. But I think overall, Forest gave away the ball far too easily. It's one of those nights, Joe, it happens to the best of us, where you just turn up, isn't your night, but they still won and they still got the job done.
OK, let's get our man of the match now with Enterprise Rent-A-Car.
The Here For It hero on Talksport 2 with Enterprise Rent-A-Car. Whatever it is, we're here for it.
Leanne, your man of the match tonight.
Yeah, I mean, it wasn't an easy game to say player of the match. I mean, Aktoglu scoring 2 goals, had to throw himself in there, but I'm going to go with Cunha. Jar Cunha in the back line. I thought he was excellent. Didn't really put a foot wrong apart from give away the pen. And I thought he showed great pace, great speed, recovered really well. So he's my player of the match.
OK, Jar Cunha, player of the match, Here For It hero with Enterprise Rent-A-Car.
The Here For It hero on Talksport 2 with Enterprise Rent-A-Car. Here For It. Book now at enterprise.co.uk.
So, Celtic beaten in the Europa League earlier, Crystal Palace through in the Conference League, and Forest through despite a second leg defeat here tonight at the City Ground. At the end of the day, over 2 legs, winning is all that matters, and Forest have done enough. They've won by 4-2. My thanks to Leanne Sanderson. Great to have your company as ever, Leanne.
Joe.
Enjoyed it as ever. And Forest will celebrate, and they can look forward to the round of 16. Much more reaction coming your way on breakfast tomorrow morning, 6 o'clock on Talksport with Alan Brazil and Ray Parler. But don't forget, the Sports Bar is underway right now over on Talksport. Jason Cundy and Dean Saunders are ready to take your calls. The number to dial as ever is 03717 223344.